Hello, friends, and welcome back to Fridays with Mrs. Ginny. I am your host, Mrs. Ginny. And I've been in the back for like the last hour, so I've been seeing you guys' comments. And so sad to hear that Sir will not be calling in tonight. That is truly unfortunate. Lindy Lou, she asked, have I had my baby yet? No, sadly, I have not had my baby yet. I really wish. I mean, you don't want to have him too early, but I'm really sick of being pregnant. So no, I have not had him yet. He'll be here in about 6 more weeks. So you just hold on tight and he'll be here before you know it. No, I don't listen to Lil Durk. Just as I was waiting in the back, I saw Fresh and Fit are doing a video about how he got arrested for attempted murder or something. I don't know what's going on with that. But we see some of the usual suspects over from my channel. Jason and Beak, always right on time. And so, friends, what are we talking about today? Some of you are like, what's going on? What is this? Friend, I have to bring this over here to Chaotic's channel because he has a much bigger platform, because I'm doing you guys a public service announcement, okay? We live in a society that does not care about us. We live under a government that does not care about us. And so they allow the psychopaths among us to just walk freely and just have free reign and live as they will, which is very unfortunate because they're extremely dangerous, okay? And so if you are a fan of my channel, back over on mrs.ginnyjones, then this will ring kind of familiar to a stream that I did back at the end of June, where I talked about the inextricable link between homosexuality and PDF files. And so if you're interested in that, then that is over back on my channel. However, this is still different, but it does ring similar. So if you saw that stream, then you can put those together and it'll just be more reinforcement why you should never trust these people, okay? And so, friends, I am here. I am the speaker of truth. I am your friend. I'm looking out for you, okay? And so I want to remind you guys to not trust these people, okay? Our society today has completely welcomed them with open arms and just said, come on in and be welcomed and included in everything that we have going on. And that was one of our biggest mistakes, okay? And so I say psychopaths, but if you saw the thumbnail, then you can obviously tell who I'm extrapolating that out to as well, okay? And so it is not me just being full of hatred and being, bigoted and what have you to talk about these people this way. Friends, it is statistically, factual that these people are reprobates, these people are psychopaths, these people are villains, okay? And they should have no part in civilized society. And if you know any, you should reject them. And we're going to jump into that. And we have a really fun documentary to watch to close out October, our spooky series that we've been doing over on Mrs. Ginny for the month of October. Now, of course, October doesn't end until next week, but it ends on Thursday. And so next Friday, I'll be doing something completely unrelated to anything spooky. And so this is why we're finishing up this week right here. And so before we jump into our video, because Lindy Lou mentioned my pregnancy, so I'm having a boy, in case anybody doesn't know. And friends, I'm sorry. The show cannot go on. I saw the cutest outfit today. I have to show you guys. And so I have this sweater. Okay. See, I have this sweater and it's like cashmere. I don't know if I think cashmere is a fabric, but it has like this like, you see the design of it. I don't know what this is called, but it has like this design on it. Okay. So you all see that. All right, guys, I had a midwife appointment today and someone dropped off a bunch of clothes and look what somebody donated. Oh my goodness, guys, when I say I flipped, I mean, look at this. Isn't this so cute? So I had to have it. And so he'll be here, before Christmas, but we'll probably take our Christmas pictures before he comes. And so we won't be able to match in our Christmas pictures, but I just had to show you guys how adorable mommy and son are going to be matching. I mean, just anyways. Oh my goodness. Such a cute outfit. Had to share, had to share. But but suspicious is unamused by the cute outfit. So we're gonna jump right into the video, okay? Don't worry. All right, so let me pull this up and let's get going on this, okay? And thankfully, this video, this documentary was put out by a Baptist pastor actually out in Sacramento, California, by the name of Roger Jimenez. He pastors Verity Baptist Church out in Sacramento. So if you're anywhere near there, then you should stop by there. It's a wonderful church. I highly recommend it. And so documentary, and he wants everybody to watch it. You know, he's not the kind of person that would copy strike you or anything like that. And so, you know, we can watch this, and I know that it's good, and that, you know, and if you want to share it, I mean, you could literally just download it and repost it to your own YouTube channel, and he wouldn't care. Okay, and so we can, can't play any videos. What do you mean? What? Striking channels. Okay. Um, hmm. Is it YouTube that's doing it, or is it the channels that do it? Like the people that have the videos? Oh, YouTube. Okay. I didn't know anything about that. Okay. So that changes everything. Okay. Well, we can work around that. Let's see what we can do. So okay. Well, I guess we're just gonna have to figure out a way to work around it. Never fear. We are gonna figure this out. Okay, let's see what we can do. I guess I can. I don't have like it. What is it? Time stamped, so I don't know exactly which parts of it I want to watch. But let's see what we'll do. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. We are first going to look up what the Bible says about reprobates. Okay. Okay. Okay, let me see here. Hey, friends, we're just gonna have to do it live. Over on my channel, we've been having issues where my internet will just randomly cut out. So we were just having to figure it out. Okay, if I have another laptop, I can play the video while I watch it. How does that work? Okay, let's see here. So we're just gonna have to figure this out as we go. That's all right. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, well, like I said, what we're gonna do is first we're gonna go to the word reprobate. Okay. I can play the audio. Okay. Okay, we'll see what we can do about that. Okay. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna come here. Okay. And so, all right. Hey, we're gonna figure this out, friends. Don't worry. You will get something today. What exactly it'll be, I'm not sure, but it'll be something. Okay. Okay, how do I? Okay, there it is. All right. And so, being that the documentary is called Psychopath Reprobates, okay? And so what it does is that it draws the comparison between what the world understands and defines as a psychopath and what the Bible describes as a reprobate, showing that they are actually one and the same, and that, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Okay. So the book of Ecclesiastes says that, there is nothing new under the sun. Okay. And so these terms, they have these terms that, it'll use, but we might not use them anymore in today's vernacular, but the concept has not gone away. Okay. And so the concept behind what a reprobate is has definitely not gone away. Okay. If anything, they've just infested more of society. But coming here, I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger so that way everybody can see a little bit better. Okay. And so starting off, we're in Jeremiah 6:30. Okay. And so this gives us what the word reprobate means. Okay. So in Jeremiah 6:30, it says, reprobate silver shall men call them, because the Lord hath rejected them. Okay. And so the reason why people who hate God are called reprobates is because they hate God, and therefore God has in turn now begun to hate them, and they have been rejected by God. Okay. So that explains that, the same way that, you reject the silver dross, the impure silver, is the same way that God rejects these people. And then moving on to 2 Timothy 3:8, it says, now as Jannes and Jambres withstood Moses, so do these also resist the truth. Men of corrupt minds reprobate concerning the faith. Okay. And so who were Jannes and Jambres? They were the two magicians who kind of fought against Moses when he was trying to free the children of Israel. Okay. And so if you're familiar with the movie The Prince of Egypt, then, the two magicians, that are turning, their staves into snakes, and that they're, trying to turn water into blood as well. And all this other stuff, they're trying to mimic all the miracles that Moses is able to do through God. They're trying to do it through magic. And for some reason, the Prince of Egypt, it changes their names, and I don't know why. But yeah, in the biblical account, their names are Jannes and Jambres. And so those people were reprobates, and they resisted the truth. And so the same thing applies today, is that when people, and this is not just, any Joe Schmo who, doesn't like the Bible or, doesn't like religion. These are people who hate God. These are people who hate the truth. Okay. And so anybody who is unsaved has the possibility of becoming one of these, becoming a reprobate. But, that is not what everybody is, because that's what Calvinism teaches, I think. I'm not a Calvinist. Okay. When you start, using words like reprobate and, predestined, people think that you're a Calvinist, and it's like, no. Okay. And so everybody is not a reprobate if you're not saved. Only people who are reprobates are people who hate God. Okay. And just anybody who, just anybody on the street, doesn't hate God just because they're not saved. Okay. And then Romans 1, which is a really good passage to really break down the reprobate doctrine, is it says here in Romans 1:28, it says, and even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient. Okay. And so, like I said, Romans chapter 1, it really goes into depth about the process of how a person becomes a reprobate. And we'll probably have to go to that too, because in the documentary, he explains that, but I don't know where in the documentary he explains that. So we're probably just going to have to go through it ourselves. So I pretty much like a lot of the biblical stuff that he talks about. We can still go over, but he has a lot of like stats and like worldly professors that talk about the psychopath side of it, and how that is the modern day terminology for what the Bible refers to. And then lastly here we have Titus 1:16 that says, they profess that they know God, but in works they deny him, being abominable and disobedient, and unto every good work reprobate. Okay, so remember that word means rejected. So even though they might do, good works after they become a reprobate, they're still rejected because salvation is not based on what you do; it's based on what you believe. Okay, and so if you're in your heart where you hate God and you're set that way, then it's over for you. It doesn't matter what you do. This is exactly why Judas was not saved. Okay, just throw that out there for anybody wondering. Judas was not saved. Um, and it says at the end, right, right after he sold Jesus for those 30 pieces of silver, and he regretted it and says he repented, but it didn't matter because he in his heart he had already decided to hate God, and so that's why it didn't matter that he repented of his sins, because he was still a reprobate. Okay, and so there's that. All right. So I think what I'll do also is that I will drop the link already. I was going to do this afterwards, but why not do it now? Okay, and so we are going to jump in on that. And what do I want to do? Okay, so I guess now what I'll do is we're going to pull up. So now that we've looked up the Bible definition of the word reprobate, we're going to look up the world's definition of the word psychopath. And okay, it says here, let me make sure you guys can see it. Okay, hopefully that's big enough for most of you to see. But it says here, a person affected by chronic mental disorder with abnormal or violent social behaviors. And now that's interesting because going back to the documentary, is that a psychopath does not have to be violent. Okay, this is one of the big points that they make in the documentary, is that there's two types of psychopaths. And there was a guy who wrote a book. He made the metric, he made the standard by which psychologists and psychiatrists measure if a person is a psychopath or not. I think it's called the measure of psychopathy. And so this guy, he is the father of psychopathy, and did all the main foundational studies of it. And what he says is that there's two types of psychopaths, which is very interesting because the Bible talks about two types of reprobates. Okay, and so the word reprobate is only used those 4 times that we looked at. But another word for them, or another phrase for them, would be sons of Belial, sons of Belial, sons of Baal. Those also are phrases that are used to describe people who are reprobates. Children of the devil. Okay, so Jesus refers to the Pharisees, says that you are of your father the devil. So he's calling them reprobates. And so what you'll find is that they're not actually always violent. In reality, most of them are not violent. So this is a very bad definition that Google gave me. Here it goes on to say that their traits are boldness, superficial charm, pathological lying, lack of empathy or remorse, inclination to violence or psychological manipulation, impulsivity, or narcissism. Now that's a much better overview, because like I said, they're not necessarily violent people. Okay, most of them are not violent. Now the violent ones are the ones that we hear about, because those are like your serial killers, maybe your human traffickers, people like Diddy. Those are the name brand psychopaths, because what they do gets really highlighted because it's so egregious. But what you'll find is that actually most psychopaths are like white collar psychopaths. That's what the guy who kind of coined the term, like that whole psychopathy study, that's what he calls them, is white collar psychopaths. And these people just kind of, they just work in really high paying jobs that are more prestigious and, high status, things like that. So I think a perfect example would be people like Patrick Bateman, okay, from the movie American Psychopath, or American Psycho. And so he works as a lawyer, I believe. And so he has like this really high flashy job, and he, wants to look rich and wants to look successful. And he's in that kind of world. And so that's kind of where most psychopaths lie. They're in fields like that. They are celebrities, if you can believe that, politicians, things like that. People, they want to have prestige and notoriety, but they're cold and they're, emotionless. That's, part of the definition that says lack of empathy and remorse. Okay. And so that was one of the differences that the documentary posed, was how, well, one of the similarities actually is that the world describes psychopaths in two ways, and so does the Bible. Chaotic, did you have something you wanted to add about any psychopaths you might have come across in your day?
Well, Jenny, first and foremost, I apologize about the miscommunication. YouTube is cracking down on playing videos because they can automatically strike you. And my apologies about that. But you're doing a great job at um, the change of the guard. So your question was about psycho. What was the question again?
Do you feel like you've ever come across a psychopath in your life?
Yeah, every day, every day. You got to remember, Jenny. When and by the way, when are you due? By the way.
December 5th.
Oh, look. Oh, okay. Awesome. Awesome. Congratulations to you and your husband. Um, Jenny, you have to remember this. And I'm a little bit older than you. I just celebrated my 40th birthday on the 20th. Jenny, human beings are animals. And I know you don't believe this. I know you believe that we just appeared in a garden 6,000 years ago. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you could be correct. You could be correct. But I believe that our existence is far more complex. And I believe that we are animals. And I believe that you have certain human beings that are less violent. We perceive it as evil, but less violent or less evil than other human beings. But every day, Jenny, there's a possibility that in a grocery store, at the gas station, in traffic, you may come across psychopaths on a daily basis that you don't even know about.
That's a fact.
And I would argue that every single day you come across psychopaths. And um, what is a psychopath? You know, that's something that academic people came up with. But a psychopath is nothing more than a primitive human being, if you ask me. You know.
Okay.
So to answer your question to the best degree of accuracy, I would say yeah, absolutely. What about you?
Well, I know for a fact that I've come across some psychopaths because I've come across reprobates.
And
And
what is a
so
reprobate, by the way? What is that?
a reprobate is somebody who hates God. Um,
Oh,
and so that can manifest itself. So what I was just saying before you popped up was how there's the field of psychopathy recognizes two types of psychopaths, and the Bible actually talks about two types of reprobates.
and what is that?
And so the one that we are most probably familiar with is the LGTV community, if you will. And so they're psychopaths, they're reprobates,
And why is that?
because they hate God.
How do
And
you know
so,
that? How do you know that?
because the Bible talks about how a person becomes like that, and it's through a hatred of God and a hatred of the truth.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
and so and all LGTV people are like that?
oh yeah.
Really?
hmm So that's how
I,
they end up that way.
really?
Yeah, because it used to be very popular that people would say that, oh, they were born this way, or it's a chemical imbalance, or if you have so many older brothers, then there's the chance of ending up that way. And none of that's the case. It's not whatever in the water making the frogs queer. It is a hatred of God. That's how they end up like that. It's a punishment.
And you believe that?
I believe that wholeheartedly.
I'm asking you. So you believe that all of these people are just demonic, they're not good, etc. Keep it real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
They're okay. So let me take you. So we can talk about the whole chapter, but basically at the very end is where I want to really expose these people. Now, see here, it starts up in verse 29, and it says, being filled with all unrighteousness. Okay, so these people, they're filled with all unrighteousness. They are fornicators, wicked, covetous, malicious, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud. And they love talking about how proud they are of themselves and their community.
I can read.
Boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affections, implacable, unmerciful. And so those last two are really spooky because to be implacable means that you cannot be placated to, which means that, someone,
Have you ever been proudful?
hmm?
Have you ever been proudful before?
Um, yeah, I'm sure I've been, proud of something that I did, or
Have you ever
I
been
would draw the distinction between what this verse is talking about, as in proud, and like, self-respect. People say I'm proud of myself or I'm proud of what I accomplished, but that's more like respect. But to have pride in your heart is wicked.
have you ever been disobedient towards your parents?
Yes, I have.
So are you a retrobate? Was it retrobate?
Reprobate.
Reprobate, sorry. Are you a reprobate? I can't even say it right. Reprobate. It's not even a word. Okay. Yeah. You would think that they would come up with a different word for it. Whatever. Are you a
Um,
reprobate?
No, I'm not, because I'm not filled with all unrighteousness. So the thing about this list, and this is what people will try and tell you,
Have you ever gossiped? That's an inventor of evil things because that's the gossiping, right? Have you ever gossiped?
I think you could put that in the category of gossiping. Yeah, sure.
So is
Um,
it possible that we are all reprobates? Jesus Christ.
you got it. Reprobate.
Reprobate? Whatever. Reprobate? Is it possible?
Well, no, because that's the thing, is that these people have all of those things. So it's not that they are some of them. Like everybody has, been proud. Everybody has disobeyed their parents. Everybody has, been deceitful, told a lie. But people who are reprobates are all of these things. They're full of all of these things. That's why you can't trust them. And someone in the
Yeah.
chat, um, NGTOW says, can he join? Yes, you can.
Nick, that was good.
You said what?
So I'm not a do funny, Jenny.
Mm-hmm.
But what makes you better than a do funny?
Because I don't hate God.
But how do you? Okay, so let me ask you a question. Right? Do you? Okay? Can you give me a famous entertain? Let's use entertainers, right?
Okay.
What type of what entertainer do you think was a do funny?
A perfect example was Freddie Mercury.
Who?
Freddie Mercury, the lead
Isn't he
singer.
still? Isn't he still alive right now?
No, he died from AIDS because that's a punishment.
We got to say the do funny do like cooties or something. He died from
Oh,
cooties.
sorry. Sorry. He passed away from cooties.
Let's see. Oh yeah, I've heard him before. So he died. Okay, so okay.
I think
So
someone.
and he's
I
burning.
think
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
someone you might know is Ellen DeGeneres. You know her, right?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay. So yeah, she's another good example.
So she's gonna so she's a reprobate
Yes.
and she's gonna okay.
And she's a
Right.
really good example
Do you,
because for so
mhm.
long, what were you about to say?
No, I was going to ask you. Do you think Michael Jackson was a reprobate? You're
I
picking
don't
and choosing.
know.
Then. Okay. Okay. What about Prince? Probably not.
Probably because he wasn't he like, bi or something.
I don't know. He was married to beautiful. I mean, for all I know, he was always married to beautiful women. He was kind of like a little metro. But
Yeah, I don't know much about him, so it's hard for me to say.
so
Um,
you saying that like all of these people hate God?
yes.
Really?
And so going back to Ellen DeGeneres, she's the perfect example of this list because for so long she had so many people snowed into thinking that she was so lovely and so wonderful and so kind, and it came out later on she was exposed for the
Yeah.
fraud that she is for being mean and nasty to her staff and thinking
Yeah.
that she's better than people and playing the victim. And she came out with some comedy special not long ago, still playing the victim. Um,
Well, I mean, do you think she was the only person? I mean, Bill O'Reilly was rude to his staff back in the day.
Well, yeah, I mean, he probably was, but
Is he a
there's a
reprobate?
he could be. I mean, there's a lot of, conservatives who are down low, so he could be.
Okay. 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 Okay.
How are you tonight, Righteous?
Oh no, Righteous, what are you doing here,
I'm
man?
I'm doing I'm
Oh,
doing great. How about you, Ginny?
oh, yeah. Righteous, what are you doing here, buddy?
I just want I well, you were talking about psychopathic reprobates, and so I wanted to see what was going on and join.
Oh,
Sir,
okay.
sir, sir, I am very possible. It is possible for me to have a very civil and polite conversation.
I didn't say anything, sir. I'm just saying, what are you doing here? As a respectful way. Like, what are you doing here?
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Well, respectfully, sir, I'm here to have a civil and polite conversation.
Okay. All right. Well, look. Well, Jenny, can I ask you a question, Jenny? Do you think that Jim Jones is a reprobate?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. 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 Okay.
So he would be considered like a white collar psychopath, because I don't think he ever actually physically hurt anybody, but he was manipulative and
Mm.
narcissistic and controlling, and he loved power. And so yeah, he totally, he said that he was God. And
He did.
so
He did. He did. He did.
yeah, so that guy was
So,
totally a reprobate.
may I ask,
Okay.
what is the general topic that we're talking about? Are we talking about, are people redeemable, or are there people who are unredeemable? So, like, what are we talking about?
Did you just change that, Jenny?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have somebody in his basement. Um we are talking about people being, who are irredeemable. So I guess that's another adjective that we can add on to them, is that so once a person becomes a reprobate, they no longer have the ability to get saved. Um, so they're alive, and they might have 20 more years left to live, but they no longer have the ability to receive salvation.
Oh.
Okay.
And who took? Okay, go ahead, Righteous.
Oh, well, I was just gonna say, I mean, look, and I'm very much illiterate of scripture, and I know Miss Jenny, that's your forte. Um, but from the little bit that I do know, I will at least say that I know that people who do anything to children, they are to have a millstone hung around their neck and dropped into the ocean.
Jesus.
So I think even biblically, there are people who are irredeemable.
Yes, exactly. That's a really good example. A person who has a carnal or physical or intimate desire for children is absolutely a reprobate. I mean, only someone who's completely filthy would want something like that, and that's why I don't believe in wasting money and time trying to rehabilitate these people when we should just take them out back like old Yeller, in my opinion.
Thank you, Miss Jenny. Thank you. We're on the same page. We'd save so much time, effort, um, psychological thinking. We'd save so many things by just taking these people out.
Yeah, you know
It,
why?
you know,
Why bother having some registry and telling everybody in the neighborhood that you used to watch stuff on your laptop when you shouldn't even be around anymore? We shouldn't need to have a watch list for these people.
yep, I completely agree. And I completely agree that there are others as well who once look, once they are convicted they should be taken out. I feel the same about grapist, um, PDFs, and those sorts of people. And same thing with um, sorry, I want to make sure I couch my words. People who take others out.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, honestly, those type of people, they should feel retribution, and they should be taken out of this world.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I couldn't agree. You kind of sound like Imperious. So I don't
Debbie,
know if this is your
Debbie.
burner account.
No, I get that. I get that a lot. We're just both white people, okay? Miss Jenny, are you saying all white people sound the same?
I would
Yeah,
I'm
never
told
say
that.
something
I'm I'm told that's racist.
to a degree.
Okay, but yeah, no, I mean you are spot on. So yeah, people who take other people out, rapists, PDF files, and the Bible gives a list of people who deserve to be ended. Kidnappers, that's another person, that's another people group. So these human traffickers, people who kidnap others, they deserve to be put out. And people who cheat on their spouses, that's really unpopular today, but hey, I mean, we wouldn't have so much adultery if people had serious punishments for committing that wicked act. Um, but let's get Pastor Nigtow in here. Pastor, how are you doing this evening?
Oh
Hey,
god.
how's it
Uh
going?
oh.
How's it going, everyone?
What's
we're
going
doing
on?
we're doing great, man. CT, stop sounding so doom and gloom,
No,
okay?
I mean,
We're
this is.
capable of polite conversation, sir.
I just feel as though that there's a place in society for do funnies. I mean,
Are you accusing us of being do funnies?
no. What I'm accusing certain people of being anti do funnies, and I'm just saying that there might be a place. Anyway, go ahead, Nick Todd.
Okay.
I
Whoa,
get
whoa, whoa,
Uh,
whoa, whoa. I think even Mrs. Ginny would agree that there's a certain place for do funnies,
easy, easy,
Yeah,
and
easy,
it
easy,
ain't in polite
easy.
society, sir.
Okay, I can. All right, it's okay. Go ahead, Nick Todd.
it's
This
six
isn't
feet
my
under the
fault.
ground.
This is
That's what
this
a place in
this
society
is
is supposed to
um,
be.
this is
whoa, what the? So wait, all right. I have a few. I have just a few questions. If you are willing to answer them, you don't have to. But first of all, I want to say I want to start by telling you a little bit about myself. I'm not. I was raised Christian. You know, in a black household. My grandmother she found the Lord, and she was like a super Bible thumper, and she raised us all to be like that. So, but even when I was younger, it never really resonated with me. I never really found the stories in the Bible to I just never thought it really made that much sense. Like people throwing staffs on the ground and then turning into snakes, talking bushes, people getting like locked in like tomb like not tombs but like little dungeons with not dragons, lions and surviving.
Mm,
People getting like burned and then not dying. Whatever that Shadrach me like what I'm talking about. But
yeah,
and even Jesus like being dead for 3 days and then like I never really thought any of that really made that much sense. And I tried to keep my faith even relatively recently in the last few years, but I just I, I just couldn't do it, man. I I had to keep it real with myself. I don't believe any religion. You know, I just think it's all man made. Think it's all fiction. I just think, people create these deities. That's why there's so many of them all around the world. All around the world, you have all these different belief systems and gods and beliefs on like how the world came to be and the ultimate ruler of the universe. And like for me to say this one is the definitive one, especially when it's not, to me, I don't believe it's any real evidence of it. To me, that shows like a lot of like hubris. But that's just me. But anyway, I had to say this. Um, you said all do funnies are like you said they all hate God.
Yes.
But what about like the do funny like pastors and stuff like that? Do they hate God too, or
Yes, they're some of the worst ones. They are some of the biggest liars, deceivers, false teachers. So because they are actually on the front lines of trying to normalize it and trying to say that, this is okay and that this is God honoring. So they take it even from a step of this should be tolerated to that this should be celebrated. And that's especially wicked. So if you see any do funny pastors or bishops or any type of clergy, then they are some of the most wicked of the wicked, and you should definitely stay as far apart from them as possible.
so?
Oh,
So what would you? I kind of heard you allude to it, and I know I'm trying to keep it friendly for PG for CT's channel, but what would you want to see done to the do funnies? You don't have to you don't have to. But what would you, in your perfect world, like? Would you round the do funnies up and do I don't want to go there, but it's what would you see? What would you like to see done to the do funnies?
Sounds like you want to go there.
Well, I want for them to I want what needs to be done for them, what the Bible says needs to be done for them. Okay. So I stand behind what God has said. And in God's government, those people were to get the capital punishment. Okay. And so it's a crime. It's a crime against God. Okay, it's a sin, but it should also be a legal crime to be that way. And people think that that's so so wild-eyed and crazy. But even in America, when America was first founded, this was the law of the land. It was illegal to be a homo. So, I just stand on what the Bible says, and I stand on tradition. And even a lot of countries till this day, they still give them capital punishment because it's disgusting and inhumane. And that's how you end up with things like monkeypox or cooties spreading out into society. And a country that actually cares about its citizens will try to care about general health.
Wait, so what you mentioned that there are countries that take capital punishment upon the do funnies. Which countries are you referring to?
Oh, they're usually like African countries.
Iraq, Iran,
Yeah.
Russia just outlawed homosexuality.
Jenny, can I ask you something real quick? I know this is your show, right?
Yeah.
Do you know who do you know who Alan Turing is? Alan Turing or Turing?
I don't think so.
He was a mathematician and computer scientist.
Okay. Was he a do funny?
He was a do funny. He was very instrumental in decoding Snatsy codes. He actually credited with actually helping the Allies win the war. He was a do funny.
And do you think we're better off now because of that, CT?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, what do you think, Righteous Buffett? What do you think?
You know what I think. You know exactly what I think.
What do you think?
So why are you even bringing this up? I think
No,
I think we can look around. I think we can. Okay, I have no problem saying it, CT. You know that. I'll be careful.
Jeez,
You know for a fact that as I see it, we look around society today. I'd much rather us be speaking German, which was not something that would have ever happened because it was never in the plans or anything like that, than what we have nowadays, CT. And you've even admitted that the liberals and the leftists straight up engage in um, buck sex in the middle of the street in San Francisco. So, I really question who really won that war. And I think, unfortunately, the degenerates won.
Oh my
And it's been played out in our society. And when you listen to a certain man's speeches, he says as much that this was exactly what was going to happen.
Let's get
And
him
it
out of here.
is what happened.
Jenny, that's
I'm not sure who you're alluding to, Righteous Muffin. Who said that the degenerates would eventually take over?
An Austrian painter from the 1940s in Germany.
An Austrian painter? Okay. Are we
Yes.
okay. I mean, I don't know.
A very special chancellor. A very special chancellor
Okay.
who took over in World War II.
Righteous
He
Muffin.
spoke about these exact things.
Righteous. Jenny is 25. She really doesn't know what the hell you're talking about. To be honest with you, bro.
I mean, if I can imagine who he's talking about, I'm sure. If he can't say the name, then I'm sure I know who he's talking about.
Yes, you know exactly who I'm talking about. Yes.
We're not talking about Joseph, not Joseph Stalin.
Yeah, we're talking about Uncle H, I guess.
Yeah. Here we go.
Yes.
Now-
yes, we are. And he spoke about these very things. He spoke about and I have many speeches that have been translated into English on Twitter that I've listened to. And yes, he spoke about these very things. He spoke about the very problems of democracy. So did Mussolini when he was talking about fascism. He spoke about they spoke about the very problems of having a democratic society, and how basically what ends up happening is because you have these large body groups who vote on the laws and the dictates of the land. Basically, what ends up happening is that when a law is passed that is against the people, I apologize for my background. Basically, everybody is allowed to cast off blame from themselves because they can say that it's not my fault; it's the other people's fault.
Righteous, no offense, but I mean, and not to say that you are wrong, but this is Jenny's show. Let's Jenny, go ahead.
Well, the topic was brought up, sir. So, and I'm just speaking on it.
I know. It's just just.
I just want to say that even a broken clock is right twice a day, and so if Uncle H, and I happen to fall on the same side on this topic, that does not mean that I endorse that. Okay. And so I feel like it kind of goes without saying, but people can clip things however they want. And so I'm not a fan of Uncle H. Okay, people say that, when you start talking about fundamental Christianity, because that's what I am. I'm a Christian fundamentalist. That you sound like the Taliban. You sound like a SWAT-y. And it's like, just because people are wrong on other areas doesn't mean that they're wrong on everything. Okay, so if you come by my channel, then people know that I am 110% against Catholics. But Catholics say that Jesus is God, and someone's just going to say, well, that's not true because a Catholic said it. I mean, anybody can say anything. So yes, there's that. Okay, I just want to put that out there.
Oh my God.
But let's go back to what Pastor Nigtow was saying, because I think we kind of cut him off. So he had asked me, what do I think should be the punishment for said crime? And I gave my answer. But do you have any more questions for me, Pastor?
Nate Sal.
Kind of was listening to you guys. I did have other questions. Let me try to remember them real quick.
Mm-hmm. So,
Well, what I'd ask is, and not going into the stuff we were just talking about, but is it wrong to believe that there are irredeemable people? Is it wrong? Is it actually wrong for us to judge people on earth who have sinned so horribly against God and God's commandments and are such abominations that we should remove them from this earth and send them to God to judge?
Oh my God.
well, I mean that's a biblical concept, and it's so funny. I mean, I don't know what religion you claim righteous, but there are people who have been in church for 30, 40 years who would clutch their pearls and be aghast at what you're saying. Like, oh no, of course, God could save anybody at any time. And I want to just caveat that, because I do believe that God can save anybody, okay? But the thing about it is that God cannot force anybody to believe, okay? He can only save people who want to be saved. And that's the thing about these people, these do funnies, these PDF files, all these different freaks of nature, is that they don't want to believe on Christ. They don't want to accept the truth. The book of John, I believe is chapter 6, but I could be wrong on the chapter. But it says that men love darkness rather than light because their deeds were evil. Okay. And so it's very naive for us to say that, oh, well, everybody would go to the light if they had the opportunity. No, there are a lot of people who actively choose darkness because their deeds are evil. And that's what these people are. And so they're not welcome in civilized society. They need to be put out.
Oh
Right.
God.
And I absolutely agree with you. And I think this is one of the problems with look, honestly, the subversion of Christianity that has happened, which is where we're supposed to be we're supposed to believe nothing but love everybody, forgive everybody for everything that they've ever done, even if they've done the most heinous crimes. And I will say that that was always one of my biggest hangups with Christianity, is that someone could be the worst person in the world, rape, murder people, children, up until their death sentence. I apologize for my background. And then all of a sudden, right before their execution, um, Christians believe that they could accept Jesus Christ into their heart and they will be fully forgiven and let into the kingdom of heaven. And it's really tough for me because many Christians believe this, but they also say that, like, well, look, I don't know how God is going to judge them. But I question, isn't it fair, based off of the commandments and the teachings of the Bible, that man can judge these people, and say that they are no longer fit for society. They should not sit in prison for decades upon end, when we know for a fact these crimes that they committed, again, let's just take PDFs and those sorts of things. They should not be allowed to, as far as I'm concerned, to sit on earth for 20, 30, 40 years until an execution. As far as I'm concerned, those people should be made to meet God as soon as possible. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
No, absolutely. Hold on. I have a verse I'm pulling up that what you said reminded me of. And it is, it's coming. Yeah. So, 1 Corinthians 2:15, and it says, but he that is spiritual judgeth all things, yet he himself is judged of no man. And so, Christianity has been hijacked by people who are not saved. And so people who aren't saved, they can't understand the Bible, and they're filling up these churches who are seeker sensitive, and they're filling it up with all this crazy doctrine. that, we shouldn't judge anybody. It's never anybody's place to judge anything. And, it doesn't matter if, the girl next to you in church is cheating on her husband. You don't have a right to judge because you've stolen before, and all sins are equal, and all this garbage that is foreign to the Bible. And so, yeah, we as people, not only, is it okay, but we should be judging what's going on. And that's how we have a righteous society. Like, we wouldn't have the bastard child epidemic that we have going on, especially in the Black community, if people were judging these moms who are just out here letting 6, 7, 8 men releasing them and just producing all these children with no accountability. That's just another example that I was watching a video on yesterday, so that's why it came to my mind. But yeah, this is what we should be doing. This is how things ought to be. And to go back to your point about how people can have like these deathbed confessions, live a life of sin, and then at the very end they get converted. Now, I mean, I'm not going to say that doesn't happen. And if it did, praise God. There's a thief on the cross who, he was a thief, and he ended up, he must have stole something pretty substantial if he ended up getting crucified. And so I don't want to make it sound like I'm just like judge, jury, and executioner. I do have mercy for people. And at the end of the day, I do want everybody to get saved. But the reality of the matter is that most people will not. And there are some people who they're just so wicked, and they're just so evil, and they hate God. And you shouldn't even feel bad for them, because they don't want to go to heaven. They don't want God. They don't want truth. They don't want love. They're just wicked. And so those people, we should happily send them to their maker. Go and have them meet God, like you were saying.
Oh my God.
And there, and Ginny, you were super based. And so I feel like you would also agree that there are some of these people who, after doing such heinous crimes, they feel as though it is the only thing to garner sympathy, in the hopes of people like yourself or other Christians to let them off. And I feel, look, I could be, because I see this happen all the time between atheists. Really, CT left? Come on, CT. I see this happen with leftists and liberals and atheists all the time. What they do is they use their lack of knowledge of Christianity, and I'm very lacking myself, so I'm not sitting here as an expert or anything like that. But they use their lack of knowledge from just a few clips here and there to take it out of context and basically say that Christians have to roll over and let everybody do whatever they want. And I feel like I don't know how much you listened to earlier, Ginny, about CT's stream with conservatives not really standing up for things. But I think that's one of the biggest things that has happened is the liberals and the atheists have been able to weaponize Christianity and the Bible and a few verses that they know against conservatives to push forward this agenda of you just have to love everybody and forgive everybody, just because Jesus said a few words about it. And I think everybody forgets that Jesus flipped over a table and whipped some people, and got real when they were acting up. And so it's really easy to say that Jesus was all about loving and caring, which he was, but Jesus also knew that when people needed a whipping, they got it.
Yes. So, very good points that you're making right now. I'm trying to listen to you and also look at the chat. But yeah, you're making some really spot on points there. Hosea 4:6 in the Bible says that my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Okay. And so absolutely, Christians, they cower in fear at some atheist who pulls out some verses out of context and says, is this your God? Isn't this what the Bible says? How can you defend this? And then, they're ignorant, the Christian, they don't read their Bible. They don't know what the Bible teaches. And so they just take a sense of defensiveness. And so I would never call myself a scholar, a theologian or anything like that, but I have read the Bible from cover to cover. And I'm active in my church. I read my Bible, regularly. And so I like to think that I, know a little bit. And so just at the end of the day, a lot of what these people say is just not biblical, and it's easily refutable. When it comes to these social issues that we talk about, I guess another good example would be, when it comes to early termination of pregnancy. A lot of Christians, thankfully, a lot of Christians, they're on the right side of that. But there are still a lot of Christians who are like, oh, well, in the case of saving the mother's life, or, if the child's going to have Down syndrome. And it's like, what does the Bible say? The Bible says that, don't make your children pass through the fire. And that is child sacrifice. And that is exactly what early termination of pregnancy is. It's child sacrifice. And so, that's just another example that popped into my head. But yeah, as a Christian, it's important to stand strong. And then, there's a lot of reasons why people are ignorant. So I'm looking at the chat, and someone suspicious said that Ginny would probably like orthodoxy. I'm not a fan of orthodoxy. I am a fundamentalist Baptist. Okay. So I take a Baptist perspective to things, which I think is just the most biblical perspective of things. So as much as I love the title Baptist, I don't live and die by the title Baptist. I'm just a Christian at the end of the day. But
May I ask, what's the difference between Baptists and Orthos?
So I believe, now I'm not an expert on Orthodox, so maybe someone will have to clarify in the comments, but I believe that Orthodox, they are very similar to Catholics, except they do like baby baptism, but they actually dunk the baby because they speak Greek, and so they know that to baptize means to submerge. So they submerge the babies that they baptize, but they wear a lot of the long flowing garments. They do a lot of the prayer beads. They still have a lot of icons that they pray to. They still pray to Mary. So they're basically just like Catholics, in my opinion. But I'm sure
Okay,
someone.
so can I give you a little information about what I've learned from speaking to some of the ortho bros?
Okay.
So what I learned is that basically everything that they know, there's a holistic view of the Bible, because you cannot know the Bible just based off of sola scriptura, right? Just because you read it and you interpret it a certain way, that doesn't make it correct. Because what ends up happening if you read a scripture and you see it one way, and someone in your congregation reads the same verse and they see it another way, how do you know who is right? And so basically what it is that there's, with the Orthodox Church, is because of the apostolic succession and the ecumenical councils. Yeah. Basically, they have basically biblical scholars and judges who go over this sort of stuff. And based off of the works of others, they determine what is right, what's the best way to read it. And they basically become an authority on it, because, like I said, if you have a disagreement on a specific Bible verse, there's an authority above to tell you what is right or how it should be interpreted. And that's one of the biggest things about it, as well as because they're passed down from the original Greek Orthodox mostly. They have the main interpretation, translation text about it. And so, I just bring this up because I have spoken to several ortho bros about it, because I was curious about how they believe in what they believe. And that's basically a lot of what it comes down to.
Okay, yeah, I am familiar with a little bit of what you were saying about what they believe. Yeah. because they're not Protestant, so I know that.
No,
So they don't believe
no,
in so.
sorry, I was just gonna say they believe themselves to be the one true um, understanding of the Bible, because it goes back to the Greek translations and everything like that. And so basically, I guess there was a schism between the Greek Orthodox who translated the Bibles and the people who ended up becoming the Catholics. And because there's a whole thing about the Pope and everything like that, which was John, who had the kingdom to heaven. And so that's there's some sort of schism there that ended up happening, and those two broke off from each other. But basically, the Ortho Bros believe that everyone who doesn't believe Orthodox is a heretic.
Yeah, yeah, and that's another similarity that they have with the Catholics is that the Catholics will say that there's no salvation outside of the Catholic Church, and so Orthodox, I guess they're the same way, and so that's just another reason why that it's false, because the Bible says that there is no salvation given unto men outside of the name of Jesus. Okay, and so one particular denomination or what have you does not have a monopoly on the truth. But I wanted to just bring this verse up real quickly, John 16:13, that says, "Howbeit when he, the Spirit of truth, being the Holy Spirit," because that S is capital, "is come, he will guide you into all truth. For he shall not speak of himself, but whatsoever he shall hear, that shall he speak, and he will show you things to come." Okay. And so I just wanted to bring that up because a lot of I usually talk to Catholics. I don't usually come across very many Orthodox on my channel. So the Catholics that I speak to, they'll say, this idea of personal revelation or that you as an individual can understand the Bible is nonsense because everybody can have their own different interpretation. But what I would say is that if a person is truly saved, then they are going to have the foundations all very similar. So like Brother Jacob in the chat here, he and I feel like he's saved. I feel like I have good reason to believe that he's saved. And so he and I'm sure we don't agree on everything in the Bible, surely, but we both believe that salvation is by faith alone. We both believe that it's by grace. We both believe that you can't earn it and that you can't lose it. And so, other than that, we might have some differences on the time of the tribulation or whatever. But when it comes to the foundations, we have the same. And so, I think that when you meet a true brother or sister in Christ, that they will have the foundation the same. And when you look at all these different like Catholic, Methodist, Orthodox, Presbyterian, they're all wrong on the fundamentals, and that is the problem. And so, that's why I can know that they're not saved. Because when it comes to the basics, they don't even have that right, let alone anything else besides that.
Okay. Real quick, my Bluetooth is about to die, so I remembered the other thing I was going to say that you had mentioned, which was praying to deities or basically saints, and the way that it was explained to me, because I was in the Ortho Discord for a while, a little bit, because I was asking them questions, trying to learn what they believe, and basically the way that they explained it to me was that the people who had been raised to the status of saint, they had been thoroughly looked over, researched, and that sort of stuff. Their life had been examined, and so they're not raised to the status of God or Jesus by any means whatsoever. Basically, because those people lived such a good and righteous life, to turn them into a saint, basically, they're praying to those people to give them the same strength and comfort to bring them even to those levels, because obviously you can pray to God and you can pray to Jesus, but you will never attain their level of perfection. And so the closest that people could attain is and that's high. CT, cut it out.
What's going on?
Basically, they would pray to these saints, Mother Teresa and whoever, because they lived such a righteous life, or what was seen as a righteous life. That basically they're praying to those people and asking them, because they're never fully dead. They're not actually dead. Obviously, they live on in heaven, and so they still exist in some sort of form. And so that's why they pray and look to these saints and these people, for strength and comfort, to try and help them be a better person.
Okay. If that were the extent of it, then I wouldn't even really have an issue with it, because then they would just be kind of like role models. But where it crosses the line is that they pray to them. So like, they pray to these saints. They pray to Augustus, and I don't really know the other names, but they'll pray to them, like we pray to God. And they'll say, well, they're interceding on my behalf. They're talking to God for me. And we're not supposed to do that. We're not supposed to try to communicate with people who are physically dead. Okay. Because I understand that they're not spiritually dead. God is the God of the living, not of the dead. Okay. But those people are physically dead. And once someone physically crosses over, that's the end of you should be trying to communicate with them. And so that's the issue that I have with the Catholics and the Orthodox when they pray to these saints, because the Bible, according to the Bible, everybody who's a Christian is a saint. So that's another thing. But yeah, and so that's the issue that I have with that. But
Right.
It was good having you on, Righteous Muffin. I'm glad you stopped by.
Yeah. And so real quick, like I said, to your point there, I completely understand what you're saying. I'm just trying to tell you what was explained to me and how it was explained to me. And so again, it would come down to, because these people were so righteous, and they were so high basically on the totem pole of Christianity and righteousness. That's why they pray to these people to intercede, to God, and give them strength for the things that they need and they want. And that's why the different saints, they have different strengths in different characteristics. They're not all the same. Okay, it's not like Saint Mary or Saint Paul, whatever. They have the same thing. They have different strengths in different things. Like Mary was very virtuous, and Paul was very dedicated. Let's just say, just for the sake of argument. And so they pray to these different ones to pass along to them, the strengths and the energies from them. Is basically what I got. Not saying that's and I don't speak for the Ortho Bros, because I trust me, my God, I was told that you cannot speak for the Orthodoxy Church unless you're a member of the church, and yada yada yada. But I'm just telling you what I was told based off of my memory. And I appreciate you letting me come on. My Bluetooth is almost dead, so I'll drop down. But I appreciate you letting me come up.
Yes, absolutely. It was a breath of fresh air, and I think it's a good testimony that, like I said, people will say that, oh, where are you coming up with this? This is crazy. I've never heard anybody say anything like this. But it's like, it's obvious. Like, people who aren't even religious or people who aren't even Christians, they have the same view. And a lot of people agree with me. So, I get up here and I'm the figurehead, I'm the one who takes the smoke firsthand, but I get DMs and I get emails of people saying, oh, you're spot on. I agree with you. And it's it's like, friends, yep. The queers walk among us, but so do the people who dislike them. Okay. So a lot of people just aren't willing to take the heat for it like I am, but it's whatever to me. So
and I can promise you, the reason Chaotic and Nigtal have been quiet is because they don't know a darn thing that either one of us have been talking about. Good. Not a darn thing, Nigtal. Chaotic. All right, good talking, y'all. I'm gonna charge up my Bluetooth, and then hopefully I'll be back if y'all are still on.
Okay.
Very good. Go ahead, Nigtal.
Yeah, this is completely insane. You want to like genocide 9% of the human population because of their sexual orientation. I cannot get jiggy with that under any circumstance. I, you know, look, man, this is crazy. This is wild, man. Like, but anyway, so since you believe Christianity is the only way to like the afterlife, right? With like,
The only way to heaven, yeah.
yeah, the only way. So, what about those cultures that have never been like exposed to Christianity?
Oh, that's a good question. And I would say that when it comes to societies like that, for one, that they are very few and far between. You would be surprised how far-reaching Christianity has gone. Um, that there are very remote areas, very small colonies where there's been at least one missionary. So it's not that many places, but even to maybe the handful that are still left that I've never heard, I would say that now this is I'm riffing right now. Okay, so what I was saying before is clear Bible doctrine, but right now I'm giving my opinion. And so I would say that those cultures, they might have had someone come in the past, and they rejected it, and then because they rejected it, their ancestors don't get a second chance. Now that's just my take, and if someone had a different take, then I wouldn't say that they're necessarily wrong, because I'm not going to be dogmatic about that. But that's what I would say, is that it's probably just that everybody gets like a seed. Everyone gets like a little seed of faith, and then if you reject the little bit of seed that you have, then God's not going to give you any more. So that's what I would say.
So, I just want to, no. So all those people, like, let's just say there are people who haven't been, exposed to Christianity like that. They're just going to hell.
Yeah, anybody who doesn't believe on Christ goes to hell.
So, what? Like, isn't that sort of like God's responsibility to make sure people like know about him? Like, isn't that like a failure of God? If people are dying, if people are going to burn like for eternity because His word isn't being spread to them.
I would say that, the Bible says that God wants all people to be saved. And so I believe that he does try to get his word out. But then again, the gospel, soul winning, that's the activity, or people call it evangelism, whichever. That is what God has left in the hands of Christians. And so that is why that's the last thing that Jesus says to the apostles, to the disciples right before he gets ascended into heaven. He says, go and teach and make disciples of all nations. And so going out and getting converts is the responsibility of Christians, and we are sadly dropping the ball. And so that displeases God. But I believe that anybody who would get saved gets the opportunity. And I think that a lot of people, even if they heard it, they wouldn't even accept it. So, but then again, that's also my opinion.
Wow, that's wild. Um, um. So
Let,
yeah.
well,
Wait.
let me,
What,
you hear me?
what,
I said, let me ask you a question.
no,
Um,
hold on. Go ahead.
oh, so you say that, my stance is way out there off the deep end. So do you not believe in capital punishment at all? Or do you just believe it should only be for other types of people? You there? Uh-oh. Did we lose you? Are you there?
Hold on. Can you hear me?
You're
Hello.
breaking up. You're
Hold
breaking
on.
up.
Give me like 2 minutes. Hold on.
Okay. All right. We're gonna we're going to give Nigtow a second. But yes, friends. And so if you're just now tuning in and you're wondering, Virginia, where is the documentary? Where is Psychopath Reprobates? And sadly, we had to scrap that idea last minute because YouTube has been cracking down for some reason for people playing other videos, which is really unfortunate because maybe there's somebody out there who's trying to review one of my videos and they can't because YouTube is cracking down, which is really sad. But so yeah, so now we had to pivot. And so now I'm taking questions from the audience. If you don't want to call in, then you can just drop a question in the chat and I'll try to answer it if as best as my ability. But if you can call in, then that would be even better. And so, yeah, so now we're just trying to, roll with the punches. We're talking about different types of people that should get capital punishment. What is the proper channels of how we should treat, the rainbow community, things like that. And so that is what we're talking about. I don't even know what this means. Do I like skin bleach? No. I'm just very fair skinned and I'm in front of a really bright light. So I'm a little, this isn't normally how I have my thing set up, but I'm just in front of a really bright light. So no. That is also not true. Okay. Don't listen to EAE. Half of what he says, probably like 70% of what he says is nonsense. So there's that. But so yeah, and so another thing that we were talking about beforehand is how there is two types of psychopaths. That is the violent psychopath, and then there's the corporate, not corporal, corporate psychopath, like the white collar psychopath. And the same thing in the Bible is that it gives an example of two different types of reprobates. And I said earlier that also they go by the name of sons of Belial, sons of Beelzebub, sons of the devil, things like that. And so while we're waiting for Nigtow to collect himself, let's go actually back to Romans chapter 1 and really kind of break this down because it's a really good passage and it often gets overlooked. So Nigtow, when you're ready, just send me a message in the back chat and I'll bring you back up. But in the meantime, oh, that's not what I want. This is what I want. We are going to look at Romans chapter 1 for a moment. And so I can show you guys. Okay. Oh my goodness. We do have another question. Rocco, he says, why God allow mental illness? I think there's a few reasons for that. The main reason being that, sin came into the world. And so being that sin came into the world, against God's will, God didn't want there to be sin. He created the world perfect. And then we came along and messed it up. Okay. And so when sin entered the world, that allowed for, different abnormalities, different malfunctions to happen with people, chemical imbalances. And, I've heard that like a person can get like, what is it, like a root canal or get like a filling or something. And then like the tooth procedure can like make them go crazy or something. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Can anybody vouch for what I'm saying? I've heard that like if you get something done to your teeth, like if they put something in your tooth or something like that, like it can cause you to like while out for, a day or two. I don't know exactly what it's called. So there's that. People, they can just be born, with issues and, that can just be natural. And then there's people who are just actual punished by God with madness is what the Bible calls it. So that is definitely not something that is foreign, to the Bible or impossible. Sometimes people can be mentally ill because God has punished them with that because they're a wicked person. So the number one example of that is Nebuchadnezzar in the Old Testament, who was filled with pride. Okay, so back to that, filled with pride and arrogancy, and God made him go crazy, and he went out into the wilderness for a few years. I forget how long it was. I think it was like 7 years or something. I think it was 7 years. And he just his hair grew long, his nails grew long. He ate honey, wild honey, and yeah, he went crazy. So there's that. Nick Tao, are you all good again?
Yeah, I think so. You can hear me?
Yeah, now you're coming in clear again.
Cool. Yeah, you were asking me something. I completely broke up. I don't know what you said.
I did ask you something. Oh, yes. I asked you, so are you completely against capital punishment as a whole, or do you just think that it should be used on different categories of people?
No, I'm not. I'm definitely not against capital punishment. Say if someone killed, like, say if someone killed like all these like 5 people in one night, stabbed like the whole family up in cold premeditated murder, and we know for a
Mhm.
fact, with beyond a reasonable doubt they did it, then yeah, he definitely should be put to death, in my opinion.
Okay. And so why do you think that?
Why do I think that? I guess sort of like, I guess I think of it like, you know, that's an eye for an eye thing, some sort of justice.
Hmm, that's interesting. Are you familiar with where that term eye for an eye comes from?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, in the Bible, I know. I
You're kind of breaking up again, but yeah,
yeah,
that comes from the Bible. So you feel like it's appropriate for someone who, um, I don't think CT wants us using the M word, but someone who deletes somebody else should get their life deleted. You feel like that's appropriate based off what the Bible says?
if based off what the Bible says, probably not. No.
Okay, so just based off of your own sense of morals
Yeah,
and human.
yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Um, okay. So would you say that someone who disagreed with you, would you say that they're wrong, or do they just have a differing of opinion?
Yeah, they just have a different opinion.
Okay. So do you believe in objective right or wrong? Do you believe in objective truth?
No, well,
No?
no, I believe it. There has to be some objective truths out there. Like, I guess math. Math will probably be one of those objective truths. But like objective morality, no.
Okay. So you would say that someone who is a PDF file, that it's not that they're wrong and disgusting, it's just that that's their preference and we all have our own preferences.
Nah, I mean, there's definitely some mental illness going on there. Um, there's definitely something wrong with them. Well, not. There's definitely something off with them mentally. Uh, I wouldn't just say. I mean, and it is their preference. That's probably just a true statement. They just prefer, you know, they prefer people that are little kids and stuff like that. Like it's very disgusting to think about, but you know, but the problem with that is like younger people that are that age, they can't consent to being in relationships with grown ass people. So it doesn't really matter what their preference is. They how can a 5 year old give consent to like a 30-year old? Like, yeah,
Well, once again, whether or not consent should even matter is subjective morals if there's no objective right or wrong when it comes to morals. So consent be damned. Are you there?
Hold on, I'm breaking up. Hold on.
Oh,
You
okay.
can hear me?
I can hear you now.
Uh, wait, what was that last part?
I said that if there's no objective right or wrong when it comes to morals, then why does it even matter if a child can't consent? Because, it's subjective, consent be damned.
Um, why does it matter? I mean, that's a. Why does it matter? I,
It's like you
I
said,
mean, I don't think it's like some deep spiritual God reason why. Like, I think we as a society, we've all come to the conclusion that it's probably not uh in the best interest for for people to be uh in relationships where they can't consent. So I mean, that's that's the best I can come up with. Right now, I gotta think some work.
see, I want you to think about what you're saying because this kind of, this is the slippery slope, if you will, that kind of descends with that kind of talk. And so, because we live, I'm just assuming that you live in America. Okay.
Yeah,
So yeah, so you live in America, we live in America. And so under our, values and morals, ethics, which are all subjective, yeah, we have decided as a society that children cannot consent, mentally ill people, and that relationships where it's not consensual are wrong. Okay.
right.
But believe it or not, there are societies that say that consent is kind of just,
Yeah,
good have it, but
yeah,
if you don't have it, then that's whatever. So
yeah, yeah. That's I mean that's why I say it's like it's not really yeah, it's not an objective thing because like you just said, there are cultures where people, you know, I don't want to go at the Muslims, but their prophet Muhammad got married to like a 6-year old. So you
yes,
got
he did.
coach, and they still defend that to this day. Like they don't, they act like he's, that was okay. So you got stuff like that out there. Um, I would say that's like wild that stuff like that is happening. But yeah, like you said, it's these are difficult questions. Like what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's evil. Do these things even exist? I would have to get. I'm not super heavy into philosophy like that. Like I know like a little, like a teeny weeny bit, but yeah, these are deep questions. I don't really have the answer to it.
Okay, and that's fine. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I just wanted to get the gears turning to think about these things because they're important. And a lot of people talk about how truth is subjective, morals are subjective. But when you start to dig beneath the surface, you can bring up these questions about, okay, well, one culture says that child marriage is okay, another culture says it's wrong. Or is one of those better than the other, or is it all just come down to subjective, feelings? And these are important matters that we talk about. And so, you know, I'm not expecting you to, have all these answers, but I did just want to, put that thought in your mind. And so my point at the end of the day is that yeah, if we don't have an objective rule giver, law giver, value giver, then it is all subjective. And we don't have the right to say that someone who cheats on their spouse is wrong if there is no higher power, if there is no greater authority than just you and I talking amongst ourselves. And so the reason why I say that homos should get capital punishment is the same reason why I believe that child marriage is wrong. And it's the same reason why I believe that adultery is wrong. Because the same God said all those things and he has the final say. And so when we move away from the Bible, when we move away from what God has said and God's, commands and his final doctrine, because God doesn't change, he's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And so when we move away from that, then it's a jungle out there. I mean, we don't know what's right and what's wrong anymore. And so you are someone who has been, influenced by our culture. And our culture today says that it's okay to be a rainbow person. But 100 years ago, our culture didn't say that. Now, was it right back then? Is it right now? It's all subjective if there is no God who says, thou shalt not. Okay. So that's the point that I wanted to bring to you. I didn't want to make you feel like I was putting you on the spot or anything, but just a good moment to think about some things. And so if you have any more questions, then you can feel free to ask. But like I said before, if anybody has any questions in the chat, then they can ask those in the chat, or they can come up here and ask me themselves. But we are going to go back to Romans chapter 1, and we're going to look over this because this kind of goes over. Don't be scared to ask me a question, T, especially you. I don't know. I might make you think about some things that you thought you knew, and then make you question them. Yeah, he says, what type of chapstick do I use? I try to just drink lots of fluids. I try to just stay hydrated, so that way I don't need chapstick. But that often does not work, and so I just use whatever I can at the moment. Okay. Lead says, will you do a believer versus non-believer stream? I would love to do that. I would be more than excited to do that. It's hard to collect people though. My platform is so small, so people just don't like stumble across me. But if I could get some unbelievers together, then I could try to wrangle in some of my Baptist friends, and we could do a 3 verse 3 or something like that. I think that would be great. So Lead, if you know any non-believers, if you know any atheists that would like to get up here and do some thought battling, then that would be great. I would love to hear that. CT, do you have any more questions?
Jenny, I think we should do a show about this. I don't know if Nick Tower is still here, but I'm going to ask you a question. And I want you to give me your honest answer. Nick Tower, are you still there? Okay, Nick Tower must have left. Do you think that, or do you believe that there are aliens in heaven? Let me give you an example, right? So I know you said this before. You said that the universe is the work of God. It's like a art piece, right? I remember you said that, and I thought it was a very interesting point of view, right? Now, obviously, I don't believe it. Now, I could be wrong, and you could be right. I think that the universe is infinite, and I believe that there are beings within the universe that are probably just as intelligent or far intelligent than us. And if God created the universe, Jenny, then certainly he created other beings within the universe. Do they share the same celestial place that we do when we die? One day I'm going to die, one day, and I want to live to be old. I want to live to be maybe 100. So that's 60 years from now. And one day, my dad is like damn near 90, and he's gonna die pretty soon. And my mom, she's in her late 60s, and she's gonna die pretty soon too, Jenny. But will there be aliens there? I mean, just think about it. Will there be aliens there? Can you meet me halfway with this?
Well, I don't subscribe to the belief of aliens,
Oh my
so
god.
I'm afraid it'll be humans only. Ugh.
So, okay, okay, okay. So you don't believe in extraterrestrials, and I know you because you say you don't, but I just think that you know if the universe is created by God, that's a lot of space, and I just find it hard to believe that right now there are you know there are supernovas taking place right now. You know what a supernova is?
Is that when like
A
a
star
star is born?
explodes. Yeah,
Oh, it's exploding. Okay.
yeah. There are asteroids colliding into each other. This is a natural phenomenon within the universe, and I just feel as though that's a lot of space. And I'm just trying to figure out if I die or when I die, and I will die one day. Will there be aliens in heaven? And you were saying that it's not. And again, and you could be right, right? And I could be wrong. But I've always wondered these things. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see
Hmm.
where aliens would fit into the scheme of the Bible, so
Hmm.
that's why I don't give them much credence.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, if
Right.
if anybody believes on Christ, then they're going to heaven. So I don't think that that would exclude ET at the end of the day.
Okay.
Do I, you, are you asking me? Do I think aliens are in heaven?
Yeah. Or anybody.
I don't believe heaven exists in the first place. So when we die, it's just kind of it.
Are
I don't
in.
think you. I don't think
Mhm.
you go meet a. You know. I don't think you meet God or anything like that.
Mm.
I don't want to go too hard here. So
Well, how did this all come to be then, Nick Tao? I mean, let's.
I mean,
I mean, do you think
I
that?
mean, just
Yeah.
according to the science, to the white man and his elegant science, it's the Big Bang.
Mm. No shit.
That was the start of the expansion of the universe. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know the whole theory and all that, but I'll trust the white man and the science.
Okay.
Well, speaking of the white man, how are you tonight, Savage?
I am doing great. I heard about your 3v3. You said you needed to find some atheists. I do recommend CT to be on the opposing team. He would make for a great debate. So, CT, let me reframe your question for you. If you believe in the Bible, do you believe aliens will be in heaven? Well, by the definition of alien, and angels would be aliens and in heaven. Alien just means something not of this world. So something that's interdimensional would be considered an alien in the term that we use. God technically would be an alien based on the way that we use the word alien.
Yeah.
So yes, there will be aliens in heaven, quote unquote, outer space when we go there.
And there we have it.
But
There we have it. There we
what
have it.
you think of an alien when you think of some sort of weird life form that looks like a gray alien or some squid person or something is not necessarily what angels are going to look like. You've watched too much Star Trek.
Well, I just believe that there are beings within the universe that live in distant star systems on distant planets, and maybe we all share a celestial existence. It's
Yeah.
possible.
So according
And-
to the Bible,
oh God.
the
I mean,
reasons
it's just my
according to
opinion.
the
I
Bible,
mean,
the reason.
it's just my opinion, bro. I mean, listen, I'm not trying to convince anybody to believe anything that I'm saying. I'm just asking questions, man. What if, you know,
Yo, CT,
what's up, brother?
I have a question for you, sir. You
Yeah.
you think all white women go to heaven?
I mean, don't they look all angelic? You know?
Oh, please.
No, I mean, listen, bro. Nick,
Respectfully, of
I'm not
course.
gonna lie to you, Nick. I have no idea what's going on within the universe. Respectfully. Go ahead, guys.
Blue Jay, how are you this
So
evening?
according to
Oop, are you there, Blue Jay? Okay, she might have stepped away. What were you about to say, Savage?
Sending me.
so according to the Bible, CT,
I something wrong
all
with
the
my
things that
internet. Sorry.
Uh, you finished what? Oh, okay. I guess she had to leave and come back. Yeah. What were you about to say, Savage?
so according to the Bible, all the things that you see in the sky are controlled by angels. They move because of angels. They move because God has given angels the task of controlling their patterns. So again, going based on what you were asking, yes, there are entities in outer space, quote unquote, what you call heaven. You there, CT?
I am here.
Blue Jay, are you good now?
I think so. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I don't know what happened. I just lost audio, but yeah, I was calling because of the alien topic, but I can wait.
You can add whatever you want to the alien topic, I suppose.
Oh, well, is Savage done? I sorry, it was cutting out when I joined, so I couldn't tell.
He was explaining.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. So I was just in an area of southern Utah that has a lot of UFO, of course, these are all, I believe them personally, but it's up to everybody to decide if they do. But basically, I have a lot of sightings, and then they found hundreds of giant mummies that are supposedly the Nephilim. Is that how you say it?
Nephilim, yeah.
Yeah, they're the really giant people.
It's Nephilim.
Nephilim. Okay, thanks. So they found a lot of those, and then they found a lot of Egyptian artifacts there, as well as Aztec and gold. So I was just curious, in your opinion, is that in line with the beliefs, the Nephilim, or where does that fit?
You asking me or you asking Savage?
Yes. Well, anybody that knows more about it, I'm just curious. I don't know a lot about it.
Well, there's a lot of misconceptions around the Nephilim. It just means giants. And so a lot of people think that the Nephilim were some kind of spirit person hybrid, when in reality, they were just people who were taller than average. And so I don't think that, that has nothing to do with extraterrestrials, because Nephilim were just everyday people.
Okay, because the story that I was kind of hearing
That's
was
not
that
true.
they came from a planet that were looking for gold. Is that right? So I'm thinking
No,
there's
that's the Sumerian story. That's the Sumerian myths.
okay.
So the Nephilim in the Bible, Genesis 6, says that the sons of God came into the daughters of man. So in the Old Testament, that in Genesis, it clearly states that there was a hybrid, a mixture that happened in Genesis. Now, the word giant is translated correctly because in the Bible it talks about the Nephilim. It also calls them the Rahim, which means to heal. If you look at throughout the Bible, there were Nephilim kings. Like Og was 15 feet tall, and he was called the remnant. The remnant was referring to pre-flood. So it also says that that they were cursed and became wandering spirits. So based on just the core Bible and nothing from outside the Bible, it shows that these things were not they were not the same as men. There's something different about them.
Okay. Yeah, so they said that these mummies, they were like Caucasian people, but they were about anywhere from 9 to 12 feet tall. Their skulls were about 10 times bigger than ours. So their femur bone that they found was like 7 feet long. And they turned them over to the Smithsonian and then they cover everything up. But they said that they intermingled with the Aztecs, I believe, but they did also find artifacts there that depict the flood.
Well, most people have a flood story. Most religions have a flood story. Most ancient cultures have a flood idea. If you look into the story of Nimrod became a man of renown. So it indicates that he was not a man of renown. And when it refers to the giants and the Nephilim, it also calls them men of renown. So also with the Nimrod story, you have the Tower of Babel, where the separation of people's languages happen. So when you look at the Sumerian tale, when you look at the Sumerian tale or the Greeks, or you talk to the Romans, or you listen to any of the old ancient religions, a lot of them have a very similar story of there being a creation, a flood, and then their gods coming down and creating man or helping man. A lot of these stories, if you believe in the Nimrod story, is the same story but from a different perspective of people. So like if you look into Gilgamesh, a lot of people believe that Gilgamesh is Nimrod, that they're telling a story of Nimrod, but it's from the Gilgamesh or the Sumerian side of the story. You have to go and you have to read the stories and take comparisons. That's really what it comes down to.
Okay. Yeah, so one interesting thing about this area is the sand is red. So I don't know if you guys heard of like Arches National Park or Bryce, but they have all those rock formations in southern Utah. A lot of people come from like all over the world to see them, but for some reason people in the United States don't really know about it. So, but yeah, so the sand is like a orange, bright red color. And then, but I guess somehow that interacts with gold. And so the gold, when they first came through, was found in actual nuggets. Some the size, they said, as big as a fist, and then of course down smaller too, but it does something chemically that makes the gold do that. I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, I was just curious because I just came from it. But I did see a lot of weird things in the sky. And some of them, I believe, are Starlink X, because I know that Elon Musk Starlink satellite program is over Utah. But there were just, I don't know, it looked fake, honestly.
So to further address what Savage was saying about the giants, and so when it says that the sons of God went into the daughters of men, sons of God is referring to people who were believers. Okay, and that checks out with the rest of the Bible. So it's not that those people were angels or some type of spiritual beings. It's just that they were believers. They were Christians, and they went in unto women who were not Christians. And so I actually did a study on that on my channel, where we talked about the phrase sons of God and we talked about the phrase giants, and explained both of those. And so yeah, it's just they were still 100% people. They weren't any type of different type of creation.
Well, they also
Yeah,
found
so
skulls in that area with their heads, like in the Egyptians, it looks like their head is elongated backwards, and like a lot of people just think that's their artwork, but they found skulls that have that same shaped head.
yeah, so Jenny, there's plenty of parts of the Bible where it refers to the sons of God as angels.
No, that's a misconception.
No, ma'am.
Sons of God always refers to believers.
No, ma'am.
The Bible says in the New Testament, when has he at any time referred to the angels as sons?
No, ma'am.
Oh,
So,
Well, they
I
do know
understand.
that area was underwater, for a long
I
time.
do understand that you believe in the Sethian theory, but that no.
All
I
right.
mean,
Well, why don't you explain further instead of just saying no?
Well, I'm currently driving, or I'd be pulling up the verses.
So I thought maybe they were early Vikings. I know they did find some Phoenician artifacts around there too, which would be humans as well. So you're saying these giants did exist. There are evidence of them, but they are not human beings. But
So
they do think that they had offspring with the natives there, which would have been a mixture of like the original people, Aztecs, and the Spaniards. And that's kind of how all the native tribes look different and the South Americans look different. That's the theory.
Yeah. So, like, there is no archaeological evidence of them being some sort of hybrid, but they have found giants. They found giants in Ohio. They've found giants for all over the
Yes,
world.
yeah, in Ohio too. Yeah, not all over the world though. I don't think. There's only
Yes.
select places, but yeah, Ohio and I believe Illinois, maybe one of those.
They've found them in Afghanistan. They found them in Iraq. They've literally.
Oh, okay.
If you go back to newspapers from like the early late 1800s, there's all sorts of skeletons being found.
Well, that would make sense though, because the Middle East is kind of near Egypt, and that's where I think it was like personally when it was Pangea still, that those like the Grand Canyon area and the four corners of like Arizona, Utah, New Mexico, and what's the other one? Is it Colorado? Anyway, one of those four states. That was like where they're finding all the Egyptian artifacts too. So somehow maybe they were closer together at that time.
Jenny, can we just point out to this super chat here that says that you need therapy? I want to point out, and my Bluetooth died, so unfortunately I apologize. You have to deal with my audio right now. But to like Nigtal's point of him not really believing the creation of the earth and everything like that biblically. But what these people do believe is a lot more convoluted than what's in the Bible. In fact, I don't actually know what they believe to bring about the Big Bang before it happened. But they believe that there's some sort of science that we can look into and recognize and see the waves of the Big Bang that happened, and then from the Big Bang, it just so happened, with precision that meteors and whatever crashed into each other, and they created the Earth, and then there's the primordial soup that supposedly happened to start creating life on Earth, and then humans came from like there's this whole convoluted story that goes with the absence of a belief in a God who just, and literally just like, clicked his fingers and was like, here we go, guys. The light has been turned on. The earth is created.
Yeah,
And
they actually. Oh, sorry.
and so it's funny to me that and I get it to a degree that you want to fight against this, but the convoluted story of the Big Bang and everything that proceeded from it is a whole lot funnier to me than believing that there's the higher being that created things.
Mhm.
What do you think about that, Ginny?
Well, that just completely falls in lockstep with what the Bible says. The fool has said in his heart there is no God. Um, and so it also talks about science falsely so called. So a lot of what we have today masquerading as science is, science fiction and just a hatred of God. And so they have the opinion of they just want it to be anything other than what the Bible says, and they're willing to believe and latch on to anything other than what the Bible says, no matter how ridiculous it is. And Stephen Hawking, before he passed away, said that the Big Bang is legitimate because we have gravity, and because there is gravity, then a universe can and will create itself. And it was like, people were just kind of standing still, like, oh, so profound. When in reality, it was nonsense. And for someone to say that that because of gravity the universe can create itself, it would be, if I said that, I would be laughed out of any college room. But because Stephen Hawking said it, we're supposed to just sit around and like at the feet of the master. So you're right, Righteous Muffin. What were you about to say, CT?
Fix my mic. Give me.
Oh, okay. Before you go, I just we're kind of all over the place now. We've completely kind of gotten away from reprobates
What about now? Can you hear me?
and oh, wait, huh?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Is Stephen Hawking in hell?
Yes, he is.
Okay, there we go.
Unless he,
So Jenny,
Unless he repented on his deathbed, then no.
yeah, unless he believed on Christ, then he went the same place everybody else goes.
Yes,
But
very slowly and very retardedly. CT. That's the answer you wanted.
So, have you heard of Stephen Meyer? He's a biologist, and he's done a lot of work on the theory of evolution, primarily like the origin of a species. And they did a mock-up. It was like Cambridge scholars and mathematicians and things. I did there's a documentary I reviewed it on a very makeshift little show I did. But anyway, they have actually sort of disproven mathematically that at least the portion of evolution that a species can morph and create a new species is impossible based on the proteins and the way they have to fold and the DNA sequence. So they did a mock-up of the primordial soup, and it did not, some of the chemical compounds did attract and kind of create new compounds, but nothing that would create life. So that's kind of been debunked actually, and that's within the last couple of years.
hey Jenny.
Well, and look, just on its face, Blue Jay. Honestly,
Jesus Christ.
yeah. Shut up, Savage. Why should we believe that a gigantic whale turned into a cow on land? Like these are the leaps that evolution makes. They have no actual backing for it, and we just believe it whole cloth.
Yeah, and Darwin had said himself, if this is all that I can conclude with what I know so far, and in the future, if evidence proves my theory to be incorrect, then that's progress. So he wasn't necessarily motivated from a religious or political standpoint. He was just trying to be, as up to date as what they could figure out as possible. But yes, they haven't found any hybrid fossils of any kind of half half rabbit, half whatever.
Well, let me ask you guys a question real quick. Righteous, how do you explain the desert catfish that can? Are you guys hip to this species of fish that can survive on land for
I've seen them crawling. Yeah, they're absolutely
15
weird.
hours and then go back into the sea? How do you explain that?
It's just
Well-
an individual creation that.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, CT, how do you explain that? How about this? You tell me, what did it evolve from, CT?
Well, I don't know what it evolved from, but I do know this. It's a very interesting question. And I'll give you another interesting question.
Right,
What is
but here's the thing,
CT. Okay, I'm just trying to say, what is a duck-billed platypus?
It's an animal.
Think about that for a minute.
No,
Yeah,
CT. These are non sequiturs.
You gotta admit though, there's a funny looking creature, man.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Wait, is there somebody on here that doesn't
Jenny.
believe in God?
No, hang on. CT, these are non sequiturs, sir, and you know that's exactly what you're doing. Okay, you're coming up here and you're saying what?
But
No. Hang on.
I'm just asking you as a human being. You gotta admit that's an odd looking creature. You gotta admit that.
Sure, CT. But what did it? Okay, so you're the one who believes in evolution. What did it evolve from?
I have no idea.
And how?
I have no, sir. I have no idea. I have no idea.
Okay, so then what was the point of your question?
Well, it's a creature that looks like it has a bird's duck,
a bill,
whatever the fuck it is. You gotta admit it has it lays eggs, right?
Yeah.
No, it's a mammal, right? It's a mammal, but it has a bill. It has like dinosaur feet. What do we call it again?
Webbed feet.
Web feet. It swims, but it looks like a bird, but it doesn't fly. It's a very interesting looking creature. That's all I'm saying. I'm just throwing it out there.
No, no, CT. You're not just throwing it out there willy nilly. No, CT. What you're trying to do is say, look at this weird, odd creature. How else could it be? What the undertone is how else could this creature come about without evolution?
I didn't. Well, all I'm saying is it's just a weird looking creature, sir. That's all I'm saying.
So what does that have anything to do? So look. If we're going from the standpoint that God created, hang on. If God created everything and God created all creatures, then that doesn't matter. So that's our standpoint, sir. So hang on, CT. If your standpoint is evolution, what did it evolve from?
Hold on for a second, Ginny. Are you on like one of those bouncing balls?
Yeah.
I knew it. Okay, I was wondering. Is it green?
Hey, Jenny.
It's green. Keep it real.
No, it's gray.
Okay.
So there are some parts of evolution that are still relevant, such as we can dispose of features that no longer serve us any good. Like, I don't know if we ever had a tail, but some people say that. But you can lose things, and the DNA sequence will drop it, but it can't add new things just because it's like 1 in a million chance of 2 random proteins coming together perfectly to fit in the DNA sequence. But then by the time they fold, it's exponentially millions. So it's literally impossible.
So, CT, do you believe in God?
Okay, so Jenny, are you telling me the sons of God in Job 1:6 and Job 2:1 are referring to humans?
Yes, they are in heaven.
Oh God.
It's talking about theosis.
And this is the verse I want to pull up. Is Hebrews 1:5, and it says, "For unto which of the angels said he at any time, Thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee." And so, as a Christian, we have a special place in God's heart. We have a special place in God's creation to where we are above the angels. And so as a Christian, I have a higher title being the son of God, being a son of God, excuse me, than an angel. And it says in Revelation that we're going to judge the angels. And so Christians are above them, and we get that special title, and that only belongs to us. Angels don't get that special title.
Right. It's theosis. It's the process of theosis, being united to God through his virtues in heaven, through the beatific vision.
Jenny, real quick, since we are on the topic of do funny behavior, real quick, why do you think those men were trying to have sex with the angels? Isn't that kind of odd? I mean, isn't that kind of crazy? Cause that's because who was the man that came out and said, "Hey, look, I got a whole bunch of daughters in the house. You can have sex with them." They're like, "No. We would have fucked the angels." Isn't that kind of crazy?
Yeah, that was Lot, and
Lot, right.
The story of Sodom and Gomorrah in Genesis 19, where those filthy perverts were surrounding Lot's house, and they wanted to abuse them and take advantage of them, and that's what they do. That's what those people do. That's
Ask Gimpy and his tribe why they do those things. CT.
Gimpy's not here, bro. So I mean,
no. Oh, he's in the chat.
Gomorrah.
Bro, he's not on the panel. Bro.
He's in the chat. Ask him why his people do such dirty things.
I think I know why, man.
Can I ask a question real quick, Jenny?
I'll do it.
Jenny, I would love to do a remake of that movie, and I would love to play Lot. Could you imagine me running outside like, yo, I got daughters, man. I want you to have sex with the daughters. And the angels say, oh, no. We want to. I mean, the guys in the town like, oh no, we want to have sex with the male angels. Isn't that kind of crazy?
It is. They're crazy. They're a crazy group of people. And another thing I want to touch on, since you brought that up, is the symbolism in that story. Because what happens is when Lot goes out there to try to placate to them, but like in Romans 1, when I explained to you, it said that they're implacable. So Lot, he tried to placate to them by offering.
But now you're jumping. Wait a minute. Isn't Romans the New Testament? Aren't you jumping between the old and the new? Or
yeah, I'm just drawing a connection between how Romans 1 talks about the character description of a reprobate, of a son of the devil, and these people in Genesis 19, they're sons of the devil. And
think? Let me ask you a question. Do you, Jenny, between me and you, right? How beautiful were Lot's daughters? I mean, what if they were really ugly? Like, no, seriously, no, seriously. Like, and when I was a kid, I wanted to ask this question, right? But I knew my Sunday school teacher would slap the shit out of me. What if they were really like super ugly to the point where like even the men in the town said, I mean, you gotta really sit back and think about this, man. You gotta sit back and think, like, how ugly could Lot's daughter, like, did they look like, I mean, like, did they look like the women in Papua New Guinea or something? Like, how ugly?
You mean did they look like gremlins with hooked noses?
Yeah, easy.
Oh my Lord.
Easy. You agreed with me there, CT.
The fact of the matter is that what they look like was irrelevant because those people will do it with anybody. Okay, so they always claim, "Oh, I only go one way. Oh, I only like this one."
But Jenny, what if his daughters? Now, hear me out. Now, I'm not a do funny at all, but have you ever thought about like, man, how ugly could those daughters have been to the point where the townspeople said, "Yeah, we'd rather have sex with the male angels than your like." What if?
Well, they probably didn't know that they were angels, but still.
Yo, I think this was what it was. They were in Sodom and Gomorrah, having those archaic Stone Age freak offs, and
they found him
and then Lot, they saw those heavenly angels, and they said, "Yo, we tired of this human bussy. I want that sanctified, angelic, heavenly bussy." See what that's hitting on. I could be wrong, but what do you guys think?
Jenny, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. This is what happens with degenerates.
It's crazy.
So, Ginny, what if the little child think, they feel gay tendencies as, a young kid, and we, children are held responsible for sin, like the same way we are once we have knowledge. So, how can you make that, like that leap from them being innocent to them being reprobate?
That's a good question. And so when you say child, do you mean someone who is prepubescent or just a young adult, like a teenager?
Yeah, like for instance, I have a close gay friend. He said that he was started being attracted to boys when he was like, elementary school, to first grade, really young. Just thought they were
Okay.
cute. Same way a girl would think it's cute. It's not sexual yet, but you just think they're cute, right?
Right. And so what I would say to when it comes to children who are prepubescent, who have these tendencies, I would say that they're just confused. That it's very, especially right now in our society that is actively trying to confuse them. That's probably what it is.
Well, he
Or
thinks he's gay because he was abused as a 3-year-old by men. So he
well,
was sexually abused. So he really feels like that contribute, but it gets so far into your subconscious mind at that point. It's kind of not a conscious decision that you're making. It's just kind of the same as anyone else's sexuality, the way it just develops. It's not in
No, that's not how anyone else's sexuality develops, is by being touched as a child by an adult.
Well, that's what I mean. But in his mind, he just thinks he's attracted to boys. He doesn't know necessarily why yet. As he gets older, he reflects.
well,
But at the time,
yeah, it's actually very common for adult homosexuals to have been touched or abused as children, and that is a very common reason how they end up that way. I did a stream on that as well, talking about that, where it's extremely common for. I was going to say is that the second reason would be that he was abused, and so if any of you, anybody in the chat, including if you know any child who is expressing same-sex tendencies, then that is a humongous red flag, because there's a very good chance that they have been abused. And so it's like a telltale sign. And so I think it was Silas. I couldn't tell exactly who was talking. And no, that's not how heterosexual people get their orientation, but because homosexuality is a disorder, that is how a lot of them come to that conclusion.
yeah, maybe I didn't explain it well. I was just meaning, like for instance, oh, I have a crush on that boy, and then you get a little older, and then eventually you kiss one. It's like all the butterfly feeling. For a gay person, that process of events is the same for them, even though it's a different gender or biological sex. But they're not saying, I don't want to like girls, and I want to like boys or whatever. Do you know? So if them being a victim, and it's such a common manifestation, like you said, then
It's not
at
a
some
common
point,
manifestation.
can you not interrupt me, please? At some point, some of their agency was taken from them, whether that's something that in your belief, biblically, they are, required to fight to be saved, or if it's something they may be given more grace. I don't know. I'm not God, but I'm just saying it's that common, and these are little kids that were victimized, just to call them like complete devil. I guess I have a hard time with it because they were not cognitive at that time.
Right. And so to address that, so like I was saying, that if a child is expressing, same-sex tendencies, then that's a very good sign that they've been abused. But I believe that before they hit puberty, they can still be redeemed. And so because they don't get sexual feelings anyway, so they can't be a homosexual.
Well, what if they're
And
not taught that it's wrong? What if they don't know anything about what you're saying?
Right. Well, I mean, a child's life is surrounded by the adults around them. And so the adults around them should, try to get them help, try to, express to them that that is wrong, and that that's not how they're supposed to feel. And, read the Bible with them. I believe that it can be rectified if it's caught early on.
But
But if
if
it's
the
allowed,
parents aren't those types of people, they're not religious, or they even foster, pride and human rights, and they're more, if that's how you feel, then we still love you and it's okay, and so this child is getting affirmation. So I get what you're saying, they should in a perfect world, but in this current world and globally, what you're saying is a minute fraction of a percentage. Most people aren't going to receive that. They're either going to receive abuse, whether it's emotional abuse or physical, to try to beat it out of them, or ostracized, or fostered. So I'm just saying, of course, if they're given the Bible and they're told, and I had my friend, he tried to do the conversion therapy, it just made me depressed. But anyway, I get it. But those people that grow up without having anybody say, hey, that's bad, and they don't even know where it came from, because they don't remember, they've repressed memories, or maybe they kind of remember, they don't connect it. Are those people still like evil purpose, just on the same level as someone that purposely hurts children and does disgusting, horrible things?
Can I make a comment? Can I jump in?
Not yet, Pseudo.
Okay.
Oh, so to your point is that so it's basically like if someone develops cancer, Blue Jay, is that, if someone, is showing signs of having cancer early on, and then, hopefully they would have someone who'd be able to identify it and try to treat it early on, and they can get cured from it. But in a lot of the scenarios, like you're saying, is that these kids, they're not in environments where the parents are going to treat it that way. And they're going to be like, oh, we love you however you are, there's nothing wrong with you, and everything's okay. They're just allowing that disease to fester, and then as that child gets older, then it's going to become uncurable, and then that's when they become a reprobate. They develop a hatred for God, and so it's a process, that it leads them down this road of being resentful, being bitter, hatred towards God for allowing this to happen to them, being abused. And when I did my stream on that topic, I had a caller call in, and she had said that she was abused as a child, and she had started to get resentment towards God, like, why did you let this happen to me? But she was someone who was a soul winner, a Christian, found her and taught her about God's love, and so thankfully she got off that path. But many people are not so fortunate. And so that's what I would say.
So my friend had the opposite experience. He actually tried through Christian counseling with a relative that put him, was leading him in that direction. We can fix this. God will save you. We'll get rid of it. And he was going through, it's actually a LDS, Mormon conversion therapy, they call it, but it's still not accepted right in the Mormon church. They still have programs to try to help people.
They're not Christian.
They don't hate them or shun them. They're like, look, you gotta. But okay, that's not my.
Mormons are not Christian.
Covers the point.
Oh, you're kind of cutting out, Blue Jay.
I have a question.
Okay.
Oh, hold on. You're kind of going in and out. Are you there? Oh man, I think we might have lost her. Try leaving and coming back, Blue Jay. I think you might have froze up. But to what Savage was saying there at the end, he's right. So Mormons are not Christians. So what they would do wouldn't help anyway, because they're just as lost as a queer person. Were you about to say something else, Savage?
No, like they're not Christians, so it's not really gonna.
Right. Yeah.
It's not really gonna help it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Hopefully she'll be able to reconnect and come back. But what were you going to say, Silas?
Well, what I was going to say is we are in a society today that has been stained by the sex revolution. So part of the problem is if somebody has some of these feelings, their first immediate instinct is to just act on those feelings, because we live in a society tainted by the sex revolution, where it's like, well, if you feel something for anybody, heterosexual, whatever sexuality, and regardless of whether you're married or not, you just need to act on it immediately. And what you need to teach your kids is purity. I think you need to raise your kids in an environment where you teach them about purity and the virtues of purity, because there are basically very little outlets in society that focus on the purity of Christ. Christ came into the world he manifested, the Son manifested in the most pure way. He came into the world as a baby. There was nothing more pure than that, and he lived a pure life. And we're not being told, nobody's being told how to emulate that, but you need to raise your kid in an environment where they can learn how to emulate that sort of purity, because purity is ultimately a supernatural value that makes a person like God.
Right. Yeah. I feel like, especially when it comes to boys, I know that's something I'm definitely going to stress with my son is that, I feel like a lot of women get raised up being taught about purity. Your body is a temple. Don't just give away your virginity to anybody. You're special, all this stuff. But from the men that I've talked to and from what I've seen online, on these podcasts, men are not getting these same conversations, and they're not being taught that their body is special and that their seed is special, and that virginity is a precious thing to have and to only give to your spouse. And so, yeah, we're, as a society, no one's learning it really anymore, but especially not men. And so that's a serious problem. So absolutely, Silas, that is a good point to make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jesus says in Matthew chapter 19, verse 12, he says, oh, some are called to be, spiritual eunuchs. Now, obviously, he's not talking about literal eunuchs. He's not actually, talking about people that, were castrated. He's not actually talking about that. But the point that Jesus was trying to make in Matthew chapter 19 was, he was saying there are some people that are called to be pure and to live a pure life, and to not just jump into sex. But we live in a society where it's just sex everywhere, for all types of people. And you're right, it especially with men, they go after, men are affirmed a lot that, if you see this really cute girl, you got to go out and you just got to sleep with that girl, even if you're not married. And it's not something that's imparted on a lot of men. It's certainly not imparted on women as much as it used to, and I think it's been quite some time since it was imparted onto men as well. I mean, Jesus says, if you want to enter the kingdom of heaven, you must have faith like a child. Purity makes you like a child in that regard. It makes you innocent in the eyes of God.
Yeah, the Bible says that, we should think on things above and not dwell on things below. Hold on. What is this message that you put in the back chat, Savage?
Saint Athanasius and Saint Irenaeus. I never thought I'd see those names on this chat.
Oh, they were, those are just early church fathers.
What did they do?
Saint Athanasius went against a lot of the people that were denying the Trinity, and Saint Irenaeus condemned a lot of the Gnostics, who were people that believed that Jesus actually literally believed that the serpent in the book of Genesis was Jesus, and Saint Irenaeus condemned those people.
Yes, so one of them believed in the angel. One of them believed in the angel human theory. The other two believed in the Sethian theory that the sons of God were Seth's line, and then they mated with non-godly women.
Okay. So to finish what I was saying just a second ago was that the Bible says to keep our thoughts on things that are above, things that are pure, righteous, good. Think on these things. And in our society today, we think it's a good thing, to be in the know with all the bad things. But another verse says that that we should be ignorant to that which is evil and know that which is good. I'm not quoting that right, but yeah, it's important to have a pure mind and be pure. We should be chaste and virginal on our wedding days, both men and women. And we should try to have pure thoughts, because out of the heart, proceeds everything. And so your heart and your mind, in the Bible, they often get used interchangeably. And so whatever we're thinking about is how we're going to operate. And so we should have pure thoughts. Okay. Seems like Muffin left. But
oh, I just saw the chat. Can you hear me now, Ginny?
Yes, you're back.
Oh, okay. No, I'm not Mormon, but when I was a kid, the time that I would go to church, it would be with friends, and it would be at a Mormon church. But I didn't go a lot. But in my family history, Mormons. But no, I'm not. That Silence was asking that.
Yeah, I was asking because I saw somebody in the comments said something about Mormonism, so I didn't know if we had somebody who was like currently Mormon in the chat.
Yeah, I think that's Helping Hound, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, he's still here.
Yeah, they're not Christians.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think Helping Hound is Mormon. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've kind of gone all over the map with topics tonight, but trying to wrap things up. So any final questions or any final comments from anybody?
I had a question.
Okay.
So
No, I just had that question about if it starts at childhood and they're never discouraged and then they grow up, it just seems like at what point should they have taken accountability for something that they weren't aware of, I guess. But anyway, but no, I just wanted to say hi, Jimmy. I'll drop down first.
Yeah, but see, the problem with your question is that we're all in sin.
Yeah, and that's true. And there are some things that are laws of the land, or our parents tell us, but
No,
that wouldn't
no,
be a case of neither.
no. But what I'm saying is we all are born into sin. We all have to take accountability and find Jesus. So we all come from the same plot. But when the reprobates decide to get bitter towards God because they had these feelings or someone touched them, that's their choice to not go to God.
Okay. So I think that's when I was cutting out. I was saying my friend had the opposite experience where he didn't hate God. He had faith in God and he was asking God to change him, but he actually started hating himself because he felt like why couldn't he fix it? But he wasn't angry towards God. So I guess every situation is different.
Well, he went to a Mormon. He went to the Mormons.
Well,
so that's why I didn't
he's
help
not
him.
Mormon either. But if you're in Utah and somebody wants you to help you with some kind of church thing, they're gonna have you talk to some Mormon counselor, bishop, or something. I mean, he's not religious, period. Like, he wasn't raised.
And the Mormons aren't Christians, is what I'm saying. So they couldn't help you.
And I agree, they didn't help him. That wasn't my point, though. I was just saying, even if someone has a desire to change their homosexuality and they're struggling with it,
I really just wanted to dunk on the Mormons. That's really what I was trying to do.
I can tell. It's fine. Hey, they're rich. They have more cash than Microsoft. They're like one of the richest companies in the entire world, or corporate, whatever.
Yeah,
organization.
They also have special pants. They have a special underwear.
Yeah, they're called
Sounds like you're jealous.
They're called
garments.
They call them garments. They're supposed to protect you from fire.
They also think that you can become God.
Yeah, and they think that
they do.
They're actually
They do believe in that. They only believe in one God, but they believe that, like, maybe after when you go to heaven, then maybe God will give you your own planet or something. But they're not saying.
Yeah, they think you become a god and you can get your own planet and you can have your own god family.
The main thing they want to do is be
there's
in
not a
heaven
single
with
pair of
their family.
underpants. Savage, there's not a single pair of underpants that you can think of that would make you believe that.
That's
What?
more. There's more. That's disrespectful, to be honest. I mean, honestly, like they they're great people. They have very close-knit families. They're hardworking.
Yeah, I know. We're
I
all
don't
just
see any
jealous of the
reason.
Mormons.
Cults are like that.
My family came with Brigham Young and Joseph Smith. My family was in, one of my great whatever grandpas was in jail with Joseph Smith when he got killed at. Then he came with Brigham Young, and they lived with him, and it was crazy. They came to
Yeah,
Utah. So yeah.
so the founder of Mormonism was a Freemason. So he wasn't that great of a guy. He made a cult
Well, I didn't
and
argue that either.
to get
I'm a
rich.
Mormon, so there's a reason why I'm not
And
Mormon.
and a lot of cults are good people and have tight knit groups and do nice things. Like that doesn't make them Christian or make their beliefs not kooky.
But you know that
I,
none of those people had any money, right? In fact, they all left money because he was an abolitionist. And for instance, some of the people in my family, they left their wealth, 900 acres, and they made homesteads for all their slaves, and then they left, and they became Mormon. They came with nothing but their clothes on their back and a wagon. So they weren't all culted to get together to make money. They truly believe in their faith.
so, Blue Jay, are you currently a Mormon?
No,
No,
she
I'm
just
not.
loves them.
Okay, I
No,
wasn't sure.
I live in Utah. I grew up here, so I'm surrounded by the culture. It's a clean, nice place. I mean, I can't complain. But it has the highest marriage rate in the country, the highest birth rate, very last place on alcohol abuse and smoking cigarettes, stuff like that. So they're just like a clean, simple lifestyle. But
Uh-huh.
they are hardworking. There are a lot of wealthy Mormons. They believe in education and things like that.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Contrary to what people think.
Uh-huh.
They do have one of the highest self-deletion rates, though, as well.
I both believe that though too, because they don't self-medicate with alcohol and drugs like a lot of people do.
Well, what doesn't make sense about Mormonism is they believe that God is that God the Father or Elohim. They believe that he is a human man. He has a human body, and that he was always.
No, they don't. They don't believe that. No, they don't.
Well, it says that
I'm
in
not
their
defending the
confessions.
Mormons, but I mean, I'm just saying I'm not Mormon for a reason. But there are a lot of things that are kind of over-exaggerated that people believe, and that's fine. I mean, I don't care.
I'm just going off of what it says in Confessions, Mormon Confessions, chapter 130, verse 22, because it says right there, God, the Father, the creator of all things, had bones, and it says he had flesh and bones.
Are you talking about the Doctrine and Covenants?
Yes.
Why'd you call it Mormon Confessions?
Well, I couldn't remember the exact name of it, but I know in chapter 130, verse 22, it says that he had bones and he had tangible bones, and it talks about, parts of a human body that he possessed.
So you don't know the name of the book, but you know the interpretation. I don't know. I've never heard that.
Well, that's what it says.
I didn't go to Mormon church a lot. Well, I don't believe in the Doctrine and Covenants, so I don't know. But when I did go to church and how I found Christ is through the Mormon church, I'm grateful to them for that. Yes, I don't believe in the rest of the stuff they say, but I did receive testimony of Jesus Christ. And so without them showing me that, I wouldn't have gotten to where I am, so I'm grateful for them. And I have nothing disparaging to say about them.
Well, that's true. That's true. I mean, a person who's in a religion that can't save you, at the very least, they can lead you to Christ, and they can lead you to the truth of Christ in some instances.
Well, unfortunately, the thing of it is that God calls you. So it's not the Mormon church that you
I
found
agree with
God
that.
through. God
they believe in the
found you.
Bible too. That's why I read the Bible, because
Right.
they
No,
believe
I
in the
agree
Bible.
with you. What I'm saying is like, let's say somebody was stuck in a Muslim country and they had no exposure to the Bible, but God used, let's say they used a verse in the Quran about Jesus to try and make them curious about Jesus to a point where they went to the Bible to learn about Jesus if they're in a scenario where there's no Christian influence around.
Well, I read the
That's
Book
the
of
point
Mormon
I'm
3
trying to get
times,
at.
and right, I get that. What I'm saying is, I do agree with the individual. I read the Bible only once, but I read the Book of Mormon 3 times. It's shorter, and they talk a lot about it. So, but even after the third time, I was like, I just don't believe this. So, yes, that was a gateway, yes. But I just think that I don't know. I think that the Mormons invoke kind of similar feelings as like the small hats, where people just get really angry, and it's like, They're really not hurting anybody. I mean, if you don't believe what they
No,
say,
but they,
then
but they, but they
of
are.
course
But
don't do it.
that's
But
the
like,
problem.
I don't know why
That's
people
the
get mad.
that's the problem because you said they were Christians. That's the problem because they're not Christians, but you associated them with Christians. Other people that don't know anything about Mormons associate them with Christians, and they're not Christians. That is the problem.
Well, meaning they believe in Christ. Meaning they believe in Christ. They don't call themselves Christians necessarily, I guess.
I mean, well, Catholics say they believe in
Okay,
Christ.
and
They're
that.
not Christians either. So,
But do you hate the people, or do you hate the really? I'm so. I mean, it's one of the closer ones. It'd kind of be like being Catholic, right?
they're not.
Catholics are
They're
not
not
Christian
Christian.
either.
Well, to be
So you don't think
to be
Catholics
fair,
are
neither are
Christians,
Baptists, but
right?
Yes,
Okay,
they are.
to be fair,
I
Baptists are kind of
understand.
based on Gnosticism, but
Okay, but what I'm saying is, if they in their mind believe Jesus Christ is their savior, they are somehow like close related to Christians. They might not be doing it right in your opinion, and that's
No,
fine.
ma'am.
But
No,
I'm
ma'am.
just saying.
No, the Bible clearly states that anyone that teaches a Christ that we have not taught is an antichrist. It's that simple. You
Okay.
cannot
I
say
also
that
didn't
you
say I know they're going to heaven either.
yes, but
I
if
didn't say they're
you
going to heaven. I said they're good
yes,
people.
how can they be good people if they're leading people to hell?
They don't know that they are. If that's the, I don't know. I'm not God's son. I'm trying to judge in advance what He's going to say or do. But
See, this is that waffling that I was
they
talking
can
about.
still be good people and have good family values, and
Well,
we can live amongst them,
nice.
and we can let God deal with that.
Yeah, this is the subversion of Christianity that I spoke about earlier. And what I'd say is like to Blue Jay's whole point earlier, she even admitted that the majority of boys or men who become homosexuals, it's because they were touched by or degraded or
Well, I didn't say
whatever
majority.
by
I don't know majority for sure. I haven't done a study, but I'm saying a good number of.
okay, now we're couching our words. Okay, whatever, Blue Jay. But she admitted that
Okay,
the
was I
majority.
cutting out, or was he?
No, you
No, I
admitted
don't
that.
want to be. I don't want people to think I
Yes, I
said
know.
that. I didn't.
Yes,
I
Blue
said a
Jay. I
good
know
number
you
of,
want to
but I
count your
don't
words
have the
now.
studies.
Yes, my studies.
I
Okay.
didn't. No, you're misquoting me. I want to correct
I'm
you
not.
on misquoting
I'm
me is what
not.
I'm doing.
I'm not. You even said that the majority of men who become homosexuals, they were touched by other men at a young age or something like that. You said something
I
along
said,
those
yeah, I
lines.
said
Now,
many. I didn't say more than half, more than 51%. I didn't say that because I don't know the
right.
numbers.
Yes,
That's my
many,
point.
right. Yes,
It's
okay,
prevalent.
whatever.
Okay, stop interrupting
No,
me. Like, learn to communicate like an adult and a man.
yeah, whatever,
I don't have the
whatever.
studies to back up my words. So what I'm saying
Yes,
is,
yes,
yes, I know
yes.
it's
Probably
prevalent.
me who said that, Righteous Muffin. I probably
No,
said it.
it wasn't. I've been listening for a long time. It was Blue Jay. She wants to couch her words now, and bring it to my studies, because she doesn't want to. Now at this point, she doesn't want to make the connection that can be linked to many studies, which is that the majority of men who become homosexuals, it is because they were touched by men when they were young.
That was
And
my
the truth,
point. I said that is the case. In my opinion, I don't have a study, but that's why I said if they're victims. Didn't you hear that the whole thing I said about if they're victims because this happened to them?
okay,
Hello?
so then your whole point of I don't know my studies. I didn't say the majority. I didn't say most. I didn't say this or that. But you just admitted that like they're victims, and it's the majority of them. Okay, so
No,
then
many. No,
just
many.
back off,
Many is
Blue
not.
Jay.
No, because I
Just
can't
back
speak for
off, Blue
people that
Jay.
are gay. No, you get off my ass. Seriously. I can't tell. A lot of people will get very hurt and
right,
offended by that,
yeah.
and they'll say,
Mhm.
"You don't know
Mhm.
that," and the truth is,
Let her
they're
talk.
right.
She's
So,
been
he sounds
talking. I've
like
been quiet this whole time.
a kid talking back to his mom. Like,
No.
listen,
I'm not allowed to talk because now you're cutting me off. Okay. I've sat here quietly and I've let you talk, Blue Jay. I've
you're
let many of you
arguing.
talk.
You're
Okay,
arguing
guys,
for
let's all
my.
just be
I said,
I've been
respectful.
waiting
Let's
to
all
ask my
just be
question for like
respectful
30
and
minutes.
calm down.
go ahead. I'm gonna mute. Just don't misquote me. That's all I ask.
Yeah. So, anyways, and anybody can rewind the tape. And she did say that she felt as though that the majority of them they were touched or they were victims or however she wants to phrase it. The point is that if we took care of these other people and got them out of society, there would not be further victims. That's the entire point that I wanted to make. And
So you think only gay people molest kids? Because most of those people are straight.
What a straw man, Blue Jay. Thank you
Well, how would you
for
get
cutting
rid of?
in
How would
again.
you get rid of them? That's what I just want to
Oh,
differentiate.
I have no problem saying that any person who defiles a child or disrupts their innocence or purity, they should be strung up in a courtyard for everyone to see to make sure that it never happens to anyone. As far as I'm concerned, any man, woman that touches and defiles a child, their innocence, their purity, does anything like that to them, we'll just go with they get strung up, okay? Because that's the nicest thing that I can say. But they deserve a whole lot worse. And even in the Bible, it says that they should have a millstone hung around their neck and thrown into the ocean. Okay, so you can take that with what you want.
Most don't get caught though, so that wouldn't eliminate the problems.
What?
Most child predators do not get told on. They don't get charged. They don't get sentenced. Most little kids don't tell.
So okay, no. So Blue Jay, what's your solution? Just do nothing.
Oh, of course not. That's no. We need to be people.
Right. So that's a straw man of your position, right?
Did you ask me a question or not?
Right. No. So Blue Jay, what I just did there, that was a straw man of your position, right? So why are you doing the same to me?
I don't use YouTube cliche point words. I don't know what that means.
Oh my God.
I'm immediate. My point was.
So then why do you keep cutting me off? Why do you keep cutting me off?
Because you don't know that most kids don't tell. So your solution is not actually a solution at all.
It is very much a solution, because here's the thing: is when we find any of these people, whether it is a minority or a majority, guess what? When the others see the punishment, which is being strung up in a public courtyard, I promise you, the others will think twice about going anywhere near a child and doing those things. See, we like, if we actually want to scale these things back societally, there have to be strong punishments for these sorts of things, and that goes for grape, that goes for taking someone out, anything like that. That are very extreme, heinous crimes. And to think, I would actually argue that when you look around our society now and our societies in the Western world, the reason that these crimes have gone up so much and so significantly is because we don't do these things. There are not harsh punishments for these people. They when it comes to underage corn, even looking at these pictures, trying to meet up with a underage person or something like that, they get off with a slap on the wrist when ultimately these people should be strung up. And again, when you have harsh punishments for these disgusting and heinous crimes, it will reduce it because the people are not going to be willing to take the risk.
Well, on that note, I couldn't agree more, Righteous. And so I'll take that as your final thoughts. Only thing I could even add to that is that not only should it be severe punishment, but it should be in a timely fashion. So like we still have capital punishment, but it takes like decades for people to even get that. And then the families of the other people, the deceased are there. Like a lot of them are dead, and so it's like no one even hears about it. And so it needs to be severe. It needs to be in a timely fashion. But
100% agree.
so thank you for coming back on. And if you're not already, then you need to be subscribed to my channel so you can pop up every Friday night.
Thank you for having me on, Miss Ginny.
Definitely. Okay, and so Silas, what are your final thoughts?
Righteous mentioned the verse in Scripture about the millstone. If we look a little bit more into that and we analyze that, we see an important thing, which is that as I said before, when a person makes themselves like a child, like Jesus said, you must be like a child to enter the kingdom of heaven. When a person when a person assaults a child or harms a child, they completely take away that purity. They completely take away that innocence. And when a person isn't acting in an innocent fashion, and now I'm talking about the abuser here, they completely cut themselves off from God. They completely cut themselves off from all attributes of God, because Christ's ultimate attribute was his purity, the life he lived, the pure life he lived, but also the fact that he came into the world as a baby, the most pure being you could possibly imagine. And so, what we need now, in going to Righteous's point and going back to my point, what we need now is we need to teach more people about purity. We're in a society where the solution is, if you feel something, act upon it. This isn't, well, first of all, it's not Christ-like, but it's not rational either. We need to teach people about selflessness, humility, and purity. And we need to have more people teaching about this, because what we have now is we as a society, we as teachers, have done a horrible job of teaching people about purity. We it's not a popular subject. People want to go out and have as much sex as they want, and we don't want to interfere on that because we're a little bit too afraid of being called out. We need to be kind, and we need to be compassionate, but we also need to teach people kindly and compassionately about the beauty of purity and the beauty of life with Christ can have through purity. I mean, St. Paul the Apostle talks about in 1 Corinthians chapter 7 how he was a virgin. I mean, he chose to maintain that purity because of and he lived an incredible life with Christ. I mean, the redemption he overcame and the life he had, the intimate life he had with Christ. And of course, not everybody is called to live a full life as a virgin like St. Paul did. Some people are called to get married and then have children, and that's 100% righteous as well. But even before a person gets married, there is this sense of purity, which ultimately builds up a person's character and is essential to a person's participation in the divine nature. And so we need to teach more people about purity.
Yes. So that's another good point. I appreciate you hopping on, Silas. And of course, you know where to find me on Friday nights. And so, all right. We had quite the lively show tonight, friends. You know, if you're just now tuning in, then you missed quite a show. So be sure to tune back after the replay and catch up on what you missed out on. Don't let the thumbnail fool you, because we did not watch our documentary. But anyone who does want to watch it, you know, if the thumbnail wet your palate enough to where you're like, well, I still want to see it. Well, this is the channel that it's on. It's on Vijay Kumar. Okay. And it's just called Psychopath Reprobate Documentary. And so I highly, highly recommend that you watch it. It's very informative. It's very entertaining. And so I think you'll really enjoy it. It's a little over 90 minutes. So, you know, you could just kind of put it on in the background while you're doing laundry, or maybe if you're at work or what have you. And I think you'll really get a lot out of that. So I highly recommend that you go and watch that on your own time. Okay. And so over on my channel, like we've kind of been talking about, you know, the whole show, that I am pregnant. And so every week I do a weekly bump date. And so this week's bump date, I am 34 weeks. So week 34, I have 6 weeks left. And I just went to the midwife today, and she checked on me, and she said that baby Jones is head down. So he is facing the right direction, but he is face up. And babies are actually supposed to be face down when they're born. So I have to do some more stretches to get him face down, and do some more exercises to try to get him face down. And so here he is in all his glory, my little 34-week little nugget. And so, yeah, that's why I'm sitting on my bouncy ball, because it's really good for you to sit on a bouncy ball. I mean, just look at this, guys. Like, it's just not crazy looking. Like, it's just so round. It just cracks me up. So, but yes. Oh, my goodness. So yeah, that's why I sit on a bouncy ball now for when I do my shows, because it's supposed to be beneficial for you, and, you know, get your body aligned and have you in the right position. So trying to do everything that I can to, you know, have him be where he's supposed to be and do what he's supposed to do, so that way when the special day comes, it's as easy as possible. Okay. And so there's that. But yeah, man, Josh showing up at the 11th hour. Show's wrapped up now. It's all said and done, unfortunately. But yeah. And so be sure to leave a like. If you're watching on my channel, be sure to leave a like over there. And also be sure to leave a like on Chaotic's channel for him allowing me to use his platform and get a little hog wild up here. So, you know, one of our favorite things about America is that we have free speech, you know, at least what's left of it. And so there are so few places where you can get up and just speak freely. And, you know, we have our good friend CT who allows that. So be sure to leave a like over here and leave a comment after the stream ends, friends. And yes, EAE and Beak have been dropping my registry. And so if you guys want to contribute to that, then that's great, and I appreciate that. Ooh, not that yet. But don't feel pressured to, but that's there if anybody wants to click on that. And so, oh, wonderful question. Lion Blues asks, what's my channel? So it is Mrs. Ginny R. Jones. You can most likely find it if you just type in Mrs. Ginny, so mrsginny, and it should be the first thing that pops up for you. And yeah, so you just head over there and sub to Mrs. Ginny, so that way you can get your weekly fix of Mrs. Ginny content. I go live on Friday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard, and on Wednesday afternoons at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard. That is where we do our word studies. Okay, so if you caught the little segment where I was talking to Savage, about the word giants and the phrase sons of God, then we've done studies on that over on my channel on Wednesdays, where we go through every time a word or phrase is used in the Bible to get a proper understanding of it, so that way no one can deceive us. And so if you want to do a little Bible study with me, and we also do prayer requests, then that's on Wednesdays. And then I just come up with something random to talk about on Fridays. And so that is the end of our spooky theme for October, because next Friday will be November 1st, and we'll be talking about reading your Bible and how to get better at it. And I have a brother in Christ who I'm going to bring on, and he's going to encourage us. And I believe he's read his Bible 10 times. And so I'm really excited for him to come and speak to you guys and give you guys some fresh encouragement on reading your Bible. So that'll be for next week. And Kat, she asked, did I ever hear back from Medicaid? Yes, I did. And I got approved. So wonderful news. I will be able to pay off my midwife much sooner than expected. So that is great. Thank you, Little Light, for posting my link. I appreciate that for my channel. And so, yes, friends, that is all for tonight. I appreciate all of you who came by, and not only came by, but messaged in the chat and stayed around and watched, even though I didn't give you what I promised you. So that was unfortunate, but who still stuck around anyway. And so, yes, friends, I'll be back over here on CT's channel the last Friday of each month, but you come over on my channel and I'll see you next Fridays, friends. So you guys have a great evening.